right, guys, we're here. It's PLOPCAST number 14. We've got Captain Kirk in the mix and the return of D-Dog Darren.
Woo! Hello.
And T-Bone is here as well. We got a variety of topics we're going to cover.
Not here. I'm going to go edit in a minute.
Oh, well, he's not here.
We're going to lose him. What?
Screw him. And, no, he's so cute. So, let's...
Good save. Good save.
Yeah, thanks.
That was great.
Yeah, that's why I make the big bucks, guys.
Unbelievable. Knows how to take care of everything.
So we've got plenty of fun topics to talk about. Oh, we're also probably going to talk about sex criminals a little bit. Maybe throw
lots
that
of
in
sex
there.
criminals.
Gotta talk about sex.
A little bit of Deathmatch. We're going to talk about Deathmatch.
Love it.
You know, want to give a shout out to Uncanny X-Men for an issue that they had just came out that I was excited about. So yeah.
Alrighty.
All right. And we're back.
T-Bone told us to say that we were back.
Yeah.
We're just doing what we're told.
That's pretty much it.
You guys know what you're doing by now. This is the 14th podcast.
What's
What's
that Peter Gabriel song? You know, we do what we're told.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this or not, but we kind of make it up as we go along.
Yeah. Well, that's
so
flying
we're
by
really
the
good
seat
at that.
of
Just
our
like
pants.
our talking heads.
Okay, you guys get going, and I'll look at questions to ask you later.
Ooh, okay.
Questions live on the air.
Oh yeah, we have Twitter questions too. Yeah.
Live questions that you'll hear later on.
Well, I'd like to get something out in the air first. If you remember, if you listened to Darren's last appearance on a PLOPCAST, I'm not sure exactly what number that is, but we will figure it out. Darren, you said that you had an idea of how things were going to happen in Infinity, and you were totally right. You totally called it. Tell us what happened.
Well, I mean, what did I say? I basically said that there'd be a big Inhuman bomb, right?
Yes,
that would
bomb.
That would go off all over the Earth, and then suddenly a bunch of people would start becoming Inhumans.
Yes.
That's kind of what happened.
And that is totally what happened. Darren, you totally called it.
Everyone, am so proud of myself. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Clap.
Before you get into that, tell everybody about what's going to happen on the show.
Oh, gosh. I mean, there's lots of stuff. We're going to talk about some of our favorite comics going on this year. We're going to talk about Miracle Man coming out in January. We're going to maybe touch on the Xbox thing, Doctor Who. We got it all.
Oh, I want to talk about Doctor Who. So much Doctor Who.
Yeah, we got Doctor Who stuff.
We gotta have some Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So
actually, when Darren and I, we met up at the same time downstairs before we started recording today. And he's wearing a Doctor Who shirt, and I was totally wearing my Tom Baker scarf. And we're like, all right, we're going to have to talk about this then, aren't we?
I kinda wanted to hug you.
I was okay with that.
I thought it was like Day of the Doctors.
Yes. All right. So, let's talk about some of our best chomics of the year. I went in last Wednesday, and Darren, you had my back. You were like, Deathmatch Volume 2 just came out.
Yeah, you came into Earth 2 Comics in Sherman Oaks, also store in Northridge. Please get your trade paperbacks there. That's my plug.
And it was
great store, and I love having you come in. And I was looking at you walking around, and you just were missing something. And I was like, Deathmatch! Volume 2!
And I came alive. Alive.
Yeah.
I was like a zombie that day. I was like, ugh. Like, I don't know. I was going through
You were
stuff.
literally going. Ugh.
Like, I kind of was. Like, I've been having some weird days lately. So, yeah, I snatched it up immediately and read it. I guess there's a third volume that's going to be coming out. It's done in issues.
It's 12 issues, so there's like 4 issues in each paperback.
Yeah.
So the last 4 will be probably coming out in another, I don't know, 5 months.
Oh, I
don't want to wait that long.
Maybe sooner. I hope they do it sooner.
Yeah, Deathmatch is one of those things where I would rather wait for the trade paperback because it's so good that you want to read multiple issues. Like, how could you just read one issue and then wait a month? Like, that's how good it is. No one's talking about it, really.
I've done it. Yeah, I've done it both ways. I originally read the trade, and then I scrambled to find every issue.
Right.
And I also reread every issue when a new issue comes out. Mm-hmm. It's just that kind of book, and Paul Jenkins, a veteran writer who wrote the great Inhumans graphic novel.
Back to the Inhumans.
Which is fabulous. And has done something because I've read the 12th issue, so I've read the final.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it away.
Yeah,
for
we
you
don't
guys.
know. Darren knows, but he's
all I can say is it's great. I think it's a great ending. I think Paul Jenkins has crafted one of the best comics in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, like, nobody's talking about it.
I said it.
It's good.
Damn.
No one's talking about it right now, but the great thing is it'll be in print and you can just keep selling.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that
Yeah.
keep passing to people because it's that good.
It is one of those. Like, I'm really excited about the third one. Just for those of you out there who don't know anything about Deathmatch, it is all of these superheroes wake up, and villains, wake up in this prison type area. They have no idea how they got there.
No memory of it.
No memory, and they were forced to go into an arena and fight to the death. And something happens, like they blank your mind and they tell you something, so when you go in, you will kill whoever they put you up against, even if it's your best friend.
When you go in, you remember what it is you forgot.
Yes, that's what
happens.
it is. Yes.
That's what you remember, and then you will fight.
And then it's like, oh, what do they know? Oh, it's so good.
And it's great because it's got like, I mean, it's all sort of analogs or avatars of heroes you would know. There's a guy like Spider-Man in there,
which is cool because especially when you get thrown into a completely new universe like this, and it is a big idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like heroes and villains all being thrown together, and you don't know who any of these characters are. They did such a great job of making them familiar, friendly.
Yeah, and giving you a footing.
So
that to me is a real testament to his writing, because so many people write books that have been around for 20 years and you don't know what's going on, and somehow you end up in this universe and you immediately understand it.
No, there's just there's so many great characters. Like, I really love the lady Batman character of Sable, you know, and then her Robin is called Mink, you know, so I was like, I like, that's so good. And then she's got a Mr. Chuckles that she fights.
And there's a rat. Is it the rat?
Oh yeah, the rat
is totally Rorschach.
The Rorschach
question. Yeah. It's like so much fun, and it's just like, and you finally, the thing that I really enjoy about Deathmatch is that, like, there's one deal where you have Sable and Mr. Chuckles, and they're finally get to be real with one another and talk about their relationship, and like it's something that you'll never get in the Batman comics. Like, you always want to hear Batman and Joker.
They can't have that final story.
They can't have that conversation, and I'm so glad that you get to experience that through Deathmatch.
Yeah, totally.
It's a lot of fun.
I love the book so much. There's really a lot of great books out there right now, but I'm just glad I kind of stumbled on it, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
Because it just showed, I mean, Paul Jenkins and the artist Carlos Magno is phenomenal.
Oh, so good. I love the way he draws like Nephilim.
Yeah.
Like so good. Like, it's definitely.
And it's a great, and I was saying to you before the podcast, Deathmatch really is sort of doing, you know, the Secret Wars from the 80s and the Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it's kind of like giving it a deeper resonance and plot than those stories originally had, because when they took Spider-Man in the symbiote costume and everything, when they took them all to this other planet, there wasn't any real.
Let's recap what Secret Wars was, because we had this whole talk. It was a big 80s major crossover 12-issue limited series, and Marvel had the great idea that, like, well, let's just take all the heroes and all the villains and put them on a planet, and it was this omnipresent force that decided, like,
the Beyonder.
The Beyonder was going to decide.
Who had a crush on Dazzler for a while, just saying.
Okay, cool.
And a Jerry curl.
But don't forget Secret Wars 2 when he was walking around in a big white glittery pimp suit.
Yeah, and then the Crisis on Infinite Earths had the Monitor.
That's
and
right.
And the Anti-Monitor, which is, and in Deathmatch, there's a character called Meridian and the Anti-Meridian.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I didn't put those two together.
So, I mean, really...
but, like, Secret Wars really didn't have, like, a big, real major point to it other than just to sell titles.
Yeah, just to see characters fight one another.
It's kind of like, I feel like it's like Shakespeare came along and picked up Secret Wars and was, me thinks, like, what, you know, perhaps I can add some sort of resonance to this. I don't know if Shakespeare spoke like that. But.
He totally spoke like that.
It's tense.
But but Deathmatch is kind of like that story for everyone who grew up during that time or after, you know, and read those stories. It's kind of Deathmatch is the reward. It's the deeper meaning. Yeah. It's the Gnostic gospel vision of the...
Because Secret Wars really just came down to, symbiote costume. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
He got a symbiote costume. Spider-Man got the symbiote costume. That's all anyone remembers from Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Well, I know Claw had a big part in it, and then Dr. Doom tried to, or at one point did steal the Beyonder's powers. But it was almost too much power for a mortal, even for Doom.
Even for Doom.
He wasn't allowed to fall asleep.
I never bought that. I figured Doom had spent so long thinking about it.
Right.
That he had pretty much planned out. Yeah, I'm probably going to go insane with the power.
Right.
But I'm kind of already a
yeah,
megalomaniacal, insane.
I'm already kind of nuts anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. So it's like just it's fine.
I just like the fact that Claw actually was like a major character in that whole series.
Yeah. Was that before
Made out of
Dazzler killed him?
I think it was before Dazzler killed him.
Yeah.
Well, and then the one character they used, Jim Shooter, who wrote it, was the editor-in-chief at the time. And he made Molecule Man an interesting character.
Oh, that's right, out of nowhere, and he was really cool.
Well, because Molecule Man has control over all matter,
Yeah,
everything.
like everything's made.
Jim
out
Shooter
of
was the
that.
one dude who was like, guys,
Which was kind of a shame because, like, okay, I can't believe I'm gonna not let this go. Secret Wars 2, when you revisit Molecule Man, and was it who did he shack up with? Do you remember?
Oh, like a big strong woman, like a big tall Titania.
Titania, I think it was.
Was it Titania?
And it was this really cute, sweet thing because they both decided that after everything and they met each other that they weren't going to be villains anymore. And so it really was like these two former villains living together in an apartment just trying to make it on their own. And like Molecule Man made the vow that he wasn't going to use his powers just to conjure up gold out of nowhere so they would be rich. Like they
Who
just
cares,
were kind of like,
Molecule Man, just do it. That's
yeah,
what the
and
government
then
does. They just make up shit.
and then the Beyonder
Nobody-
just the
the
Beyonder shows up and
Secret Wars 2 was much more of a kung fu, like walk the earth type of, like the Beyonder walking the earth in a white like
leisure
Miami
suit,
Vice
yeah.
leisure suit.
big collar,
Yeah.
big Jerry curl hair.
Yeah. Just amazing.
Pretty much the best character design ever.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
John Romita Jr., you're awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Deathmatch.
Deathmatch is good. Definitely pick that
it up,
one up.
guys.
Another hot comic right now. Sex Criminals.
I love sex criminals.
I love Sex Criminals.
This is a really good book.
It is. It's only on issue 3, so there's no trades out yet. Nothing like that. It's coming out through Image.
It is kind of a book that I think really is worth picking up in pamphlet format. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of I sound like a 90-year-old pamphlet format.
I like that.
Because there's like the letter column is so much fun to read.
I was talking
issue
about that
recaps
earlier.
are so much fun to read.
Wait, what is the name again, Kirk, of the letters column?
The Letter Daddies.
Letter Daddies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's some serious questions, some completely like shooting from the hip questions, and then Fraction and Zdarsky answering in just the most like sassy, like sardonic ways they can.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's good to see people having fun with their letters columns.
Well, and they're using it as a forum to talk about sex,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is almost the great taboo in our American
It's
society.
it's the last one, I guess. I mean, you can cut someone's head off and you can, rape people to death and everything. That's fine, but you can't talk about people actually having sex in realistic ways.
And enjoying it.
And it being healthy and everyone having a nice time.
Guys,
Like,
what
it's gotta
sucks?
be-
I
it's
feel like
gotta
I'm
be
learning about
fear-based.
sex in this comic book.
I know, isn't it
Oh,
sad?
this is sucks.
So
Okay.
the first one came out on iTunes and it was fine, but then the second one, iTunes banned it. And I think that's only helps the comic, but I mean, it's just like, really? It's so stupid. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, I feel embarrassed.
But you know
for
what the thing is
America.
when you read the book, I don't know if you guys had this experience, but you ever read something and go, why? I feel like I'm finally reading something that should have always been in comic books.
Yes.
And you don't realize you've been missing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, and then suddenly it's there, and,
And
you're
it's
like,
fine.
oh,
And it's
oh,
like they're just talking about sex. Like,
oh yeah, people have sex.
It's the worst thing in the world because this really is something that's just been there the entire time and no one would talk about it.
It's like when you talk to your friends about sex.
Yeah.
Like and we all talk about it. We all,
Hopefully
it's a part
have
of the
it,
human
yeah.
experience. You
Yeah.
know, it's
No, but I just felt like what a gape. Like, no, I can't use the word. I was gonna say what a gaping hole, and that's not wrong. But I'm so sorry. I just meant I meant that in a figurative way. That what a huge chasm of like something like like a topic that's been missing from comics that really should have been there all along.
Definitely. Yeah. No, and it's just crazy to me that iTunes would ban it, and it's so awful, and it's like, this is...
And I don't. If this isn't awful to me, this is the comic that I'm using to give to people when they go, I don't read comic books.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
This is the comic. I'm like, well, then you need to read this. And
Yeah.
they kind of come back and go, but there weren't any capes and there was a lot of nudity.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it, but I liked it. I mean,
The
this
other
is-
way is the
know.
way they present the sex between the main protagonists is such like a healthy.
sweet.
They're both really sweet people.
Yeah, they
And
love it. Yeah.
It shows them having fun at it. There's not a lot of guilt.
Yeah,
There's
like,
not
and
a
they-
lot
and
of
they-
the puritanical.
And they
like,
ask each other about their past experiences and joke on each other.
They talk about past girlfriends and who told them what.
Yeah,
who-
yeah.
Right.
I just found it really refreshing because I think usually when we see sex depicted in movies, it's always with a moralistic atmosphere.
Yeah.
And like in the horror movies, it's always the virgin
Yeah.
that survives at the end of the movie, right? And it's these codes. It's like this coded language and
It's
coded
fucked
visuals.
up, man. It's especially for women. It's like, you're either a virgin or you're a whore and you get raped and killed. It's like that's it. And it's like what? Like,
Ma'am.
everyone's mom had sex. I would
What
like
did
to just say that.
What did
Like,
RoboCop say? Was it, "Madam, you have suffered
an
a shock."
emotional shock? I will contact a rape crisis center.
counselor immediately.
Which, by the way, I know we're kind of making like a bunch of jokes about how great this comic is, but when I do say it's the best comic in the world, understand that I'm talking about a comic where the lead character really did get slapped in the face with a dildo.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
the best
I forgot about
comic
that.
ever.
It's so much fun. Like, it has a fun, casual attitude that's
It's a
realistic
great book.
about sex.
I've
and I
always
love it.
Matt Fraction, who's doing great work. He does great character work, and he's doing great
Yeah.
work
Yes.
on Hawkeye and
Which I still need to read, by the way. I
Hawkeye's
know.
so good.
and a series called Casanova. If you guys haven't read Casanova,
I've heard of it, and I've
Casanova
been
is so awesome. It's so I can't even describe it because he basically takes comic language. He like breaks comics apart. Do you know what I mean? And it's
deconstructing.
yeah, and it's drawn by but not in like a cheesy way. Like it's done in the way it's done with like the Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba, those brothers. They draw it, but he's really he's a guy who does great characters, and it's great to see him do a comic that isn't the way capes or oriented.
Yeah,
or
this is definitely great for people who are not in the market for capes. But this one does still have a supernatural bent to it.
Yes.
where-
we keep forgetting to mention that.
We keep forgetting it.
Yeah.
There is something.
There is a sci-fi aspect to it.
Yes, the girl.
There's also a dance scene in a comic book.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that
We'll
because
get to
that.
I want you to talk about that at length.
But the premise of the comic is that you have these two characters that find each other who both figure out that when they orgasm, time stops for them for a little while, and then
so like during that time they could go rob a bank
or do
or
whatever,
rearrange the pottery in their boss's room.
Take a poop in your boss's pot.
But I what I like about it is it's like that theme about time stopping. That really is when you have really good sex. Or a really good relationship with somebody, that is kind of the feeling.
Well, we talked about this the first time.
Yeah, we talked about that last time, and I like it because it's much like Sleeper. I don't know if you guys ever read Sleeper, but
You're telling me about Sleeper, but not on the podcast.
But all the guys, people who all their superpowers are based upon who they are emotionally. In a way, yeah. And so, like in other words, the Sleeper Holden Carver is a guy who can absorb pain. And also project it, but he can't feel anything.
Right.
And then there's a character called Miss Misery. Sorry to get on a tangent, but it's similar.
I remember you telling me about this. Like in order for her to gain more power, she has to kick like an old man down the stairs. Or something.
She has to like throw a baby out of a carriage or something.
Right.
If she starts doing good things, she gets sick. So she's like the femme fatale in reverse.
Oh, how cool.
And anyway, that's what it reminds me of with this is that the powers are based in kind of their emotional. Or their emotional or mental state. Like the superpower has a thematic link.
Well, though, speaking of, and this is even more tangential, I always love this character in Gen 13. I love Gen 13. I love this character that came up with the guy who built Anna, the robot who like is their maid or whatever. The guy who built her, his power was being super smart, but he had to inflict pain upon himself to become really, really smart, to have giant bursts. So it's like you see these pictures of him when he's first starting to build Anna. He's like, and then by the end of it, he's missing fingers, he's missing an eye. He's he's been cutting little pieces of himself off, and it's like, that's so awesome. Like that was the first time I'd ever been introduced to the idea of having a power that's like super fucked up like that, you know?
Well, and I would, again, and that goes back to me, the last golden age of comics, which was like 1999 to like 2003. That's where you had Wildstorm, The Authority, Warren Ellis doing Planetary, Ed Brubaker doing Sleeper. So in this book, though it's completely different than those books, is of the same mindset. Like it's got all the things you like about an indie comic, but it's got enough of the like sci-fi tropes to keep you involved.
Yeah.
You know, and Kirk, what about that? Let's talk about that dance number.
Oh, so they do a dance number in the pool hall, and it's to Queen's Big Bottom Girls. Only
is it?
Is it? Because apparently they didn't get the licensing rights in time. So they still animate and they do the whole dance number, which is pretty phenomenal in a comic book that they did this.
Yeah, it's I've never seen someone attempt to do a musical dance number.
And it's actually fun and cute because like all of a sudden the strangers that are in the pool hall
they start
are
dancing,
choreographing
and
like synchronized like dance moves.
But it's also contingent on you knowing Fat Bottom Girls the song because he's talking about how he can't get the rights to the song.
So they can't get the rights to the song. So every time the main character is quote unquote singing the lyrics,
the word balloon is being covered up by a little, looks like a Post-it, essentially. Yeah, like a little
by
yellow
Matt
box.
Fraction talking to the audience really quickly. Yeah. Like, to cover up the lyrics.
You know what? I'm going to admit it. I love meta.
Yeah, I do too.
I love meta.
Of course. I don't get tired of it.
Yeah, no, I am too. Like, I'm just... I really enjoy it. I think Sex Criminals is definitely a big one to watch, and you guys should definitely check it out, especially if you're looking.
It's like impossible to talk about Sex Criminals and say the right thing.
No, it's
everything sounds like a double entendre. I didn't mean.
No, we knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah, I know.
Here's the thing: does anyone know? Is it a miniseries or is it going to be ongoing?
Yeah, good question.
I think it's kind of one of those things that like he's gonna do it and tell a story.
Okay.
Yeah, see,
I think it will be finite. Like, I don't think he's going to do it forever.
But like maybe like in 26,
there's
27
there's
issues.
no like 3 of 6 or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
It is one of those stories where it's like I don't want it to ever end, but I know I also wouldn't want it to keep going because then I would.
But it really can go in so many weird directions.
Yeah.
Because now that you're getting more into the freezing of time,
right, and what's going on in there,
and there are other people present during that freezing of time. We haven't even touched on that yet.
Yeah. No, we have no idea. But I can't wait to find out.
Do you see why we love this title? I hope you guys can hear it. Like,
I'm just hoping it doesn't become like Lost.
Yeah.
You know, a great first season, and then it starts getting too sci-fi.
Okay, by the way,
I want it to keep its heart in where it's at.
T-Bone's still in the room. We made this joke months and months and months ago, and I want to know where we're at. Have you finished Lost?
No,
I'm still. I'm still like 4 episodes away from ending Lost, and this is going on 2 years ago, and I really just can't.
I need to watch the whole last season again to pick up.
All I remember is everyone dies. That's pretty much where I'm at.
Don't tell me. I don't know.
Here's what I'm going to recommend you do. Take a cold. Watch the first season. Skip to the last season. Yeah. And watch the last season.
Okay.
That's
all you need. That's all you need to do.
That sounds like a good plan.
We have it. We downloaded the rest of the last season that we haven't seen. So.
Yeah, we have it. We got to do it.
That's so funny. I still haven't. Okay.
Well, I've done that. I've done a lot. Like I've done that a lot with plenty of shows where it's like I just don't want it to be over, so I just pretend like I just stopped caring and just didn't watch the rest of it, so I don't have to acknowledge that it's over. You know.
I'm the idiot that placed the bet on the wrong horse. When Breaking Bad first started, I didn't know if I was going to be cool with the subject matter. Mm-hmm. So I went with Dexter instead.
Yeah.
And I had just watched the last episode of Dexter, and what a giant freaking disappointment it was.
Really?
And here, everyone's raving the same week.
About
Breaking Bad is the best show on television, and now I'm just sitting here in the corner just grumbling
you bet on the wrong horse.
So many years ago.
Dude,
why?
I liked Breaking Bad from the beginning. And it was just weird because it was like everyone suddenly, in the last 5 episodes, everyone's like, have you heard of the show?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's something that the British understand, but Americans don't. And it goes through literature and the comic book industry and movies and everything. Things end.
Yeah.
What?
Stories end.
Yeah.
Stories have to have an ending because if you get Dexter, right? Dexter went on forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it kind of lost its potency.
It did.
You know, but Breaking Bad always had its end point in its sights from the beginning.
Well,
it always knew where it was going to end.
Well, especially when you start the show off with, he's got the main character with terminal cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, that's, to me, that's genius.
But I mean, you have the British. I mean, well, they'll make a show and they'll do 2 seasons,
And then
and
it's done.
each season is like 6 episodes or something.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
With the exception of Doctor Who never ends. Okay.
Never. It's
Doctor
impossible.
Who never
Well,
ends.
but Doctor Who is made to go on. You know, like it's okay for Doctor Who, but it's not okay. Like for Dexter, you don't need to try to pump every last cent out of it that you can. Like, you know, we always in America we always beat things until they're just dead and keep beating
Well, it's
them.
totally.
I don't blame it, and
It's
I don't blame it on artists and stuff. I mean, you're seeing on HBO and whatnot that they end shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just the nature of sort of the network model to create 22 episodes of something when really maybe you could have gotten 10 really good episodes.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is
then let
interesting
it go.
because, and this does tie into comics a little bit, Straczynski has been doing this a lot with some of the new titles he's been writing, like with 10 Grand.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, the first issue came out a few months ago, and it's the art is still absolutely amazing. Story I've kind of fell off on. But in the very first issue, in the back, he was talking about, like, we're going to tell a story, and it's going to go 6 issues.
Yeah.
And then we might just sit on it for a little bit and see if maybe these characters have another story in them, and then we'll do that.
I think that's fine.
But I think it's great.
That's great. I'd like to see that attitude more in mainstream comics, you know, where it's like, if you have a writer who's like this great idea for whatever, a Superman story, it's like, just let him do that Superman story.
Yeah, I
Put
mean,
it
you know,
out as a trade.
it's like with the great Superman stories. I always give people Red Son,
Yeah.
Always.
Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow by Alan Moore.
Yep.
You know, Kingdom Come. These were all stories that had finite
Yeah.
and they were great.
And those are the ones that keep
All
making
Star,
money.
Batman, like
Superman.
Batman, Long Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you need that. I understand the need for like an ongoing thing, but
Yeah. It's like, you can have the ongoing thing, but it's like, it's not all about, you know, it's like, I don't need 20 fucking Superman titles when I walk in the store. Like, I don't need 10 Batman titles.
I think the key
like,
is just to realize that there's a lot of people that just want to read a good book.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
they don't want to know a lot of continuity. They just want to go, can I read what's a great Superman story?
Yeah, which is why, like, I mean, I want to throw it back for a second, why Deathmatch is so good.
Yeah.
It has
Because
an ending.
there's a beginning, a middle, and an ending, and it's just a really great read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't need that to go on for 3, 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's, and then on to the next thing, you know? Let's come up with something new.
Odd.
So, yeah.
By the way,
Well-
we're totally going to talk about Doctor Who later. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
we
okay.
are. We
We're
are.
talking about Doctor Who.
Let's talk about something that's coming out that I'm really excited about.
Oh, is it what I think you're going to
Yes.
say?
Yeah.
So they're reprinting Miracle Man, coming out in January.
Yes.
Alan Moore's Miracle Man.
Yes.
Everyone,
But he is not listed on the solicitations.
He is not.
He's listed as the original writer.
really,
Yeah, that was just he doesn't want any money or anything from it.
yeah,
Which is strange, because we're not talking about Miracle Man in
in
movie form.
form, yeah.
No,
Talking comics.
but that's you know what that's what Alan Moore wanted to do.
Well.
So it's really interesting if you look in a preview.
Sorry.
Come on.
Sorry.
And it was dun 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 dun.
And the worst part was I totally thought I turned this off earlier. My bad.
That's fine.
Dan, if you're listening, jerk.
But yeah,
Miracle Man.
so Miracle Man, I read Miracle Man back when it came out. It came out originally in a magazine called Warrior, which was sort of a British import magazine. You could buy them at B. Dalton bookstores in the mall,
That's awesome.
in like the Northridge Mall, and there would be V for Vendetta in it, and there would be Miracle Man, and it's just this amazing, weird amalgamation of Shazam, basically Shazam more than Superman.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, the Alan Moore treatment of the superhero. The
Yeah.
ultimate Alan Moore treatment of the superhero. I can't wait for people to read it because I've always thought it's up there with Watchmen.
Yeah.
It's up there with Watchmen
Yeah, and you
V for
can't
Vendetta
get
quality.
it. That's the thing. That's what's so big about this coming back out for people that don't know. You can't get it. Like, I've been trying to read it.
I have them, and
Yeah.
over the years I have loaned them to people who
Wait, the original issues?
I have the original paper, the original trades.
God, okay.
I have the
Scare me there for a
original
second.
issues, but then I got.
Ah.
But the books were actually going for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it used to be something I would sort of go, here, man,
Yeah.
you know, and you read it. But it's great. But I mean, it's basically, it's really a Shazam more than a Superman
yeah.
avatar.
Okay.
type of character, but it's had the most amazing publishing history of anything.
Okay, now that's what I want to talk about. Wasn't it Marvel Man before?
Yeah, in Britain, it was actually... Okay, I believe I'm correct, and anyone who, if I'm wrong about anything, please
let us know.
Correct me.
Because it is kind of like convoluted
I believe it started, a guy named, I think his name was Mick Anglo, and it was originally like Shazam reprints that they would sort of wipe the uniform and redo the uniform.
Yeah.
So it was like Shazam story reprints.
Okay.
And then eventually it just became a regular comic. And then further down, and this was, I don't know, in the 60s or whatever. I could be totally wrong about this, but I know it originally was something else. When Alan Moore took it, Alan Moore was sort of like deconstructing this hero.
Yeah.
Right.
And sort of deconstructing Shazam. And so when Alan did it, it had existed before.
Yeah.
In another form. So it's kind of fascinating. And then Alan Moore did I think 3 books. Dream of Flying, like they each segmented into books. Like Dream of Flying, I can't remember what the second one. I think it's called the Red King Syndrome, and then the third one is Olympus.
Okay,
am I right?
I don't know. I'm trying to.
Are you
look
looking
it up.
at?
Yeah,
I'm trying to find
going
it.
through the sorted
Like literally,
But
when
those are the 3 volumes.
Yeah,
that
it's the
Alan
funny thing
Moore
is it's
did.
like, because I want to get the story out, but if you type in Marvel Man / Miracle Man,
Miracle Man,
3 different Wikipedia pages show up because there's so much publishing history.
But when it started,
and rights
when
and
it
that
started
sort of
being
thing.
published in America through Eclipse Comics,
I've got that
he
part.
was called Miracle Man.
Correct.
And so then there were new comics being created with the name Miracle Man. Because they couldn't use Marvel Man because of Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's how that started. Alan Moore did his 3 books where he does amazing things, and I don't want to spoil anything that he does.
Yeah,
Because
I'm really excited about
I'm looking at it here. Marvel trailer. Keep going.
Yeah, but he does amazing things, and then he leaves the book and gives it to Neil Gaiman. Neil before Sandman.
Yeah.
And Neil Gaiman does this amazing story called The Golden Age.
And now he also does it in 3 books.
And he has 3 books, but he only got 1 book out. He started on the Golden Age. The next age was going to be the Silver Age, and the gold.
And the third one was going to be Dark Age.
The third one was going to be the Dark Age.
Yeah.
They only got 2 issues out.
Yeah.
Of the Silver Age.
Yeah.
So, and Neil Gaiman already plotted out the story. He already knew what he was going to do. Mark Buckingham, who has been the artist on Fables from the beginning, was the artist when under Neil Gaiman's run. So the big thing has been to try and get these books out again so that Neil Gaiman could finish his story.
Yeah.
And he's had it for years.
Now, guess what? After all these trades get re-released, I guess they are going to start it up again with Neil Gaiman.
Yes.
This is so
That's
cool.
always been the plan.
Wow.
And
I'm excited to be a part of this.
That's always been the plan. The plan, and Neil Gaiman, I remember being at Comic-Con, I don't know if it was a while ago. It was probably in 2009 or 2010, and I was sitting next to Mark Buckingham, and they were announcing the Miracle Man thing then, like that it was going to happen, and Marvel was selling Miracle Man shirts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so are you excited to do it? He goes, oh yeah. I can't do his accent at all, but he's like, oh yeah, man, I've been waiting forever. It's like the one thing that I've always wanted to do. Because he cut his artistic teeth on that series.
Right.
And if you think you know Mark Buckingham's art, you don't know anything. Because if you see what he does on Miracle Man, he changes his art style every issue.
That's awesome.
And it's fascinating.
So insane.
That's a huge, that's a big part of the reason why I didn't really pursue drawing comics as much as I could have, was because I am not able to be draw the same way all the time.
Yes.
My shit's always changing, my styles are always changing, and it's it always gives me such pleasure to see when somebody else is allowed to do something like that, because
you can I can name off a million artists who change their styles all the time. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
A lot of artists who keep reinventing themselves, like a guy who never gets any credit, like Mike Deodato,
right?
Who drew a real '90s style, like Thor back in the '90s.
Yeah.
Keep going.
What? But anyway.
Sorry.
So Marvel's going to recolor it and reletter it.
Yeah,
and it's really going to. What I've seen so far looks really good.
I did see, because I'm usually against recoloring stuff, because mainly just because of the X-Men thing that I got really pissed off at, where they recolored all the Jim Lee 90s.
Well, it was like a digital coloring process.
Yeah, and it looked like shit. And the reason why I'm buying it is because I love the artwork. I love the flat tones. I love the color palettes. They took the color palette, they made it fucking boring and lame and just whatever. Like now, and everything has a fucking gradient on it. And it really bummed me out. But this, I saw as the side-by-side comparisons where they showed the original page. And it's like, and it looked...
It's subtle.
It was fine. Like, I wasn't offended by it or anything.
No, it's subtle. They're not trying to turn it into a 3D book. Mm-hmm. They know
style.
They know what they have.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They've got one of the great lost Alan Moore works and one of the great lost Neil Gaiman works. They are sitting on
the coolest thing ever.
A gold mine. They're sitting on a gold mine. And so I don't really think they're not going to screw it up.
No, because here's the funny part. After we're talking about all the different changes in who had the character, this is interesting. I did not know this. 1996, Todd McFarlane purchased all of Eclipse Comics' creative assets, which also included the Miracle Man rights.
Yes,
for a whopping $40,000.
But here's the thing: we could have a whole podcast on the story of what's happened to Miracle Man legally. Todd McFarlane did buy the rights, but it was dubious at best because Alan Moore gave the film of Miracle Man Neil Gaiman has. Mm-hmm. The original,
shut up.
In other words, and the creation of the character Angela, Marvel created a legal fund so that Neil Gaiman could sue Todd McFarlane.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I remember this.
This is what this whole thing was about, and I'm just saying that I'm not coming down on anyone's side on this.
Right.
Because I'm just glad it's finally been resolved. What the important thing is that this work will be out.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's they wrote a book called Komoda that literally is all about just the travails of Miracle Man.
Really?
And just because it's gone everywhere. Like Alan Moore wrote it, and then he kind of went to Gary Leach, who was the original artist, and said, "I'm giving you a portion of the rights." And he gave the Neil Gaiman, he gave a portion of the rights, and he just didn't want any of the rights. So Neil Gaiman has been the one who's been keeping this fire burning. Yeah. Neil Gaiman wants to finish that story.
I really hope that I'm excited. I'm excited for him to do it.
Because this is before he did Sandman.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. This is like... And that was a golden age of comics, too.
Yeah.
Like, right before the glut of the 90s stuff, there was amazing stuff in the late 80s and early 90s. Mm-hmm. And I mean, imagine... And, oh my God. I mean, I just remember going to read Miracle Man and getting it at a comic shop. I mean... It was amazing. I'm sure that some of it might seem dated and stuff, but I still think good work is good work.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's Alan Moore.
Yeah.
Who basically everyone rips off. So. But what's great by
if you can even rip off Alan More like a fraction,
halfway decent.
Like Alan you're doing okay.
Well, I have a phrase that Alan Moore cannot write a bad comic even if he tries. He literally can't.
Yeah.
You put him on a Wildstorm book, he will write a good comic no matter what. He just can't help it.
Like, how stupid was it that I was really looking forward to, like, when's the next issue of Supreme coming out?
Yeah.
Like, Supreme was an awesome comic.
Supreme was a great Superman book.
Dude!
It was a great book.
Oh, it was such a great comic. And I'm like, oh, that's right. It's Alan Moore who's writing it.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think it'd be hard for most of us, I know definitely for me, to do really good writing if I maybe wasn't feeling it. Yeah. But Alan Moore is just kind of like, he rolls out of bed, and he just writes this amazing comic, and he can't help it.
No, yeah,
I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for people to be able to read.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Get excited, people.
Get excited, people. January.
I mean, believe the hype.
Get excited because, guys, this is like finding a great movie that's been lost forever.
Yeah,
it's
I've just been hearing whispers about it for the longest time, and it's all this.
I don't want to hype it. But it's good. It is good, and so I believe that you will like it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like rediscovering old Doctor Who episodes that they thought were long lost
on Netflix.
Well,
interesting.
With that, maybe you guys should talk about Doctor Who for a minute.
Can we just have some time?
Just do your thing. I don't know anything about Doctor Who, so I'm gonna go to the bathroom. You guys talk it out.
All right, we're gonna have some
Okay.
All right,
have some guy talk.
Let's do this really quickly.
Guy talk.
So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the 50th anniversary? Do you want to talk about?
Let's start with the recent special, like the Day of the Doctor.
The Day of the Doctor. So 50th anniversary was a big thing where they decided to bring back Matt Smith, who's the current Doctor, and then they brought in David Tennant, who was the Doctor previous to that.
Yes.
No Christopher Eccleston, sadly. But then we did have John Hurt, who played an incarnation, a regeneration of the Doctor that we didn't even know about, that we have just discovered.
Well, there's a reason for it. The episode before the Day of the Doctor, which is the one we were sort of talking about,
right?
It was called The Name of the Doctor. So the trick of the episode was this. There was another Doctor before Chris Eccleston.
Right.
And it was this... Was it William Hurt or John Hurt?
John Hurt.
John Hurt. And
William Hurt. John Hurt.
The reason that
the
reason that he is not...
John Hurt.
The reason he is not depicted as the Doctor is because he was not conducting himself as a Doctor. Because he engaged in destruction.
Right.
And what's the first rule of a Doctor?
Oh, that never be cowardly, always do good.
Do no harm.
Do no harm.
That's the first. That's a Hippocratic oath.
Right.
Do no harm. So the whole trick of the episode was finding out. Yes, there was this other Doctor, but the reason they don't call him the Doctor is because he did not behave as a Doctor.
And even he himself disowned the name the Doctor.
Yes.
Because even at the end of the 50th anniversary, when we'll get to it, but he goes, at least for the time being, I can call myself the Doctor again.
Yeah.
Because he finally made the right decision.
And so then the 50th anniversary is like the last two Doctors, David Tennant, who's I still have to say is kind of my favorite. I get it. I just love him. I just love him. And Matt Smith, who's a great Doctor. But it's, I guess, what would you say the plot of that episode?
The plot of the episode is an awesome excuse to bring a new direction to the show.
Yes. Well, and I guess we should probably go on what the direction of the show has been since the Chris Eccleston Doctor.
Okay, so since the reboot and we brought Christopher Eccleston in, we learned he was hinted at, and then we discovered the fact that the Doctor was the reason why the end of the Time War came. With the Time Lords and the Daleks, and he's the one that pressed the big red button.
Yes, he made the ultimate decision that damned him in a way.
Correct.
To make him the last of the Time Lords, and
to eradicate the Daleks. But at the same time, eradicating his own culture. Correct.
And his own people. And that's been the status quo.
And he's always been running from that. He's been trying to forget.
Yes, and I don't know if you noticed this. There's some great lines in the episode. It is my belief that the Doctors are getting younger and younger because the more he cannot emotionally deal.
Oh no, he's running away.
The more he cannot emotionally deal with what he's done, the more he tries to become youthful.
Right.
And at one point, I can't remember which, if it was someone says in the episode, the Doctor who regrets and the Doctor who forgets. And that's the Doctor who regrets is David Tennant, and the Doctor who forgets is Matt Smith.
And the really funny part is that scene where all three of them are in the cell.
Yeah.
And it's a great scene where you're watching the Doctor work in conjunction with himself.
Yeah, they're kind of like, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, yes, it is.
And all three of them, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's this really great part where Matt Smith's Doctor, he's kind of playing against the wall, and he's etching in like a little secret clue for the future folks to discover how to get him out of the cell.
Yeah.
But it really does look like the young kid in the corner sulking.
Yes.
And not wanting to have to come to terms with what he's being faced with.
And then how do they end up getting out of the door?
How many doctors does it take to get out of a jail cell?
Open the door because it's not
The
locked.
answer is Clara.
But when I first got into Doctor Who, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was maybe 2009, and I just burned through. I burned through all the Chris Eccleston, who was to me the perfect introduction to it because he had a leather jacket and a kind of a shaved head. Mm-hmm. He was just not like I remember Doctor Who,
right?
Like the Tom Baker years. And I just remember why I'm so enthusiastic about Doctor Who still is I feel that for this era we live in now, he is the perfect hero.
Totally.
He is noble. And you know what I mean? He's a hero I can believe in. And I remember there was one season when it was Rose Tyler, and she was talking to her ex-boyfriend. Remember that guy? Mickey, her ex-boyfriend? And she's like, what's the big deal about this guy? And he goes, well, when he sees something that's wrong, he does something about it. And he doesn't just do it because he doesn't just do it. He does it because it's wrong and because somebody should do something about it.
Right.
And I just thought, like, oh my God. In this, and I'm a guy who loves noir and crime. What a
novel idea.
What a novel idea to do good because it's good to do good.
Oh, that's insane.
No, but I mean, it was, at the time, extremely inspiring to me. You know what I mean? Because, and he was a hero I could believe in, and he was a hero who like, really, you know, gay people, straight people, I mean, any type of people, 3 arms, 4 arms.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. He's just intrigued by life, intrigued by the universe, and intrigued by humanity. And he sees something in us that we don't see in ourselves.
And I think it's really interesting. I'm the first person to admit, like, America in the last 2 years has gone crazy for Doctor Who.
Yep.
Like, as much of a staple.
Dude.
Yeah. Like, it's as much as a staple as it has been across the seas. Mm-hmm. Like, we have just gone crazy for it. Where, you know, it's just, I love the fact that it only takes just a little tiny bit for somebody to go, oh, what is this? And like you said, we'll sit down and we'll burn through it. We'll marathon it.
I did, dude. I burned through it.
And it's to the point now where, like, you go, wait, hold on. There was a whole other incarnation of this show even before. And then you start digging deeper.
Which I am now watching on Netflix. So I watched a couple of the stuff with the original Doctor, the second Doctor.
See, and I'm going through...
the Tom Baker Doctor.
I discovered Tom Baker. And that is where I just kind of like started freaking out in the 50th anniversary.
No, the Tom Baker stuff's amazing. The one guy I can't, the one Doctor I really can't stand is the third Doctor. But I don't really blame the Doctor. They just had him doing dumb things.
Right, he was kind of
like he was driving around in a buggy.
Right.
Remember that? It was just
Wait, wasn't the third Doctor also the one that had Ace as a companion? Someone will correct me on this, but she was a companion her name was Ace. Oh. And whenever he came up with a great idea, she would go, Ace! And like a cheerleader raised her arm up in the air.
Yeah, and he was just a doctor. Like, he's a doctor. He was like Beretta, Doctor Who. Do you know what I mean? Don't go to bed with Doctor Who on your head.
So
he punched people.
Oh, it's cool. It's kind of cool.
No, but I mean, to me, Doctor Who's like is like the post-patriotic, xenophobic hero. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he's like, look, the future's coming and it's not that bad.
Right. And I love the fact that it still, in essence, is a kid's show.
Yes.
Like, to the most, like, basic core, it's a kid's show.
Well, and it's not childish.
No, God, no.
It's definitely an all ages show.
Yeah. But I like that it's an all ages show that's absolutely brave to have characters like Captain Jack on there, who isn't even bisexual. He's omnisexual. All he does is
I actually got into Doctor Who that route.
Really?
I watched that show first.
Torchwood?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I went, and then because I was like, I don't want kid stuff.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And Torchwood was definitely like the more adult. Like, there was some cursing and some gnarly, like, graphic, like, special effects stuff in that series. And God.
But I guess the great thing that happens in this Doctor Who episode is they change the paradigm.
Right.
Like, it's like Gallifrey may not be lost.
No.
It might be frozen in a piece of time.
And so, spoilers, total huge spoilers, it changes the entire direction of the show. Yeah. Whereas the Doctor was running away.
I'm sorry to say spoilers, but I mean, if you haven't watched it by now...
Seriously. We waited.
We waited.
But now, instead of the Doctor running away from what he's done, he is on a whole new mission to go find Gallifrey.
And it changes the paradigm of somebody who believes they can never be redeemed.
Right.
And there is redemption is always possible.
And it even took himself to redeem. Like, he had to be the Doctor to himself.
Yes.
That he has been...
Doctor, heal thyself.
That was a great line. But it's... Doctor Who's amazing. And I'm really excited that I'm going to watch... Well, I'm not going to say it like that. But, you know, Matt Smith dies in a couple weeks. But then we get Peter Capaldi.
But in a way, it's a great show in the sense that Doctor Who does always change. Mm-hmm. He retains all the memories of who he was, but he's never the same person when he transforms. So in that way, they've come up with a really unique formula for keeping the show always fresh.
Mm-hmm. Especially like if you go back to Matt Smith's first episode, like part of the comedy was him trying to discover what he really does like.
He reminds me a lot of the second Doctor. I think definitely that was his inspiration.
Oh, cool.
Matt Smith, yeah. Second Doctor was much more of like a sort of a fuddly-duddly, like sort of like
Right.
Really sweet, like sort of frumpy dude,
Well, the same way that David Tennant totally based his performance on Peter David's Doctor, who's also now his real life father-in-law, which is a little weird.
What?
Yeah, you don't know this? Okay, so David Tennant did an episode called The Doctor's Daughter, which is one of my all-time favorite episodes. And the young lady who was on the show plays like a kind of like Splinter clone version of him.
Yes, I remember that one.
In real life, they got married.
Yes.
In real life, that actress's father was Peter, but not Peter David.
Peter David's a writer.
Peter David's the writer. I'm thinking about the comic book artist. Shoot, but in real life, her father did play one of the incarnations of the Doctor.
Was he the Doctor in
Davidson.
the 80s? Peter Davidson, the Doctor in the 80s, like the guy with the cricket bat.
Yeah, he had like the white jacket with the...
I need to catch up on that Doctor. I don't know much about him.
That's that actress's real life father.
Unbelievable.
So now that they got married...
So I'm going to have little Whovians.
There's two of the Doctors are father and son-in-law.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's awesome, right? A little weird, but it's awesome, right?
Anyway, I don't want my brother to watch Doctor Who. I want everyone to watch Doctor Who.
Of course.
I really do.
I
If you just start, you'll get there.
I keep starting, and then I keep being like,
Just trust me.
I think we just need to sit down and just get her to watch. If you just watch Blink,
We're gonna have to like tape her to a chair.
yeah. I think we should just get her to watch Blink, which is a. No, we can get her to sit down and watch Blink, which is a completely self-contained episode, and
we'll hit you with one of the really good self-contained episodes.
Okay.
right, and you just get a flavor for it. And here's what I think is so daunting for some people who want to get into Doctor Who is that, and someone else said this, I want to credit the person, but I can't remember right now. She was telling me it's a show about time travel. So technically, there really is no wrong place to start in the show.
That's true.
You really can.
And it's a show, much like
like
reading Deathmatch, you recognize the avatars right away.
Yeah.
You recognize everything right away. It's like you were always there.
Yeah.
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 You don't feel like daunted.
It's so familiar.
Continuity is fun, but it's not a show about continuity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a show about everything out of continuity.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially like the whole Amelia Pond. Oh, God. We could go on forever.
I think we gotta move
about
on,
this.
dude. We're doing a lot of.
All right, you guys are done with your Who shit.
All
All right.
But seriously, like in the comments, talk about Doctor Who.
Time with
I will totally join in.
What do we call this? This has been Guy Time of Doctor Who.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Well, I'm glad you guys got it out of your system.
I needed to.
Let's see. Yeah, what is next?
I'm talking about.
Just real quick before we get into questions.
Okay.
Real quick.
Real quick.
I need to talk about Uncanny X-Men's Girls Night Out. I was really excited.
It was
to see,
awesome.
I was really excited to
Great-
see a Girls
great
Night
issue.
Out issue. Like, it was fun. The Cuckoos are like, we gotta get out of here. We're bored. We need to buy clothes. Let's get out of here. They go to Magic first. Magic's like, why are you coming to me with this? She's like, you're the nice one. And Magic's like, I'm the nice one out of like me and Emma, which I thought was like a really cute moment. But yeah, all the girls go out and it was a lot of fun. And I'd like to see more of that sort of thing. Although I do wish that there was a little more of it. Like, I wish it would be a little longer and have more time with them. But
I have a feeling, and again, because I did guess the Inhumans thing correctly, I have a feeling that this is going to be a recurring thing that Bendis does.
I hope so.
They've done it with like Wolverine, where Wolverine meets up with Sabretooth like once a year or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And in Starman, they used to have a thing where Starman met up with his dead brother every year. I have a feeling that this is going to be a recurring
I hope so.
thing.
Like they go do Girls' Night.
Yeah, Girls' Night Out.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then they have this artist come and...
Another a really cool reoccurring thing in the X-Men universe was always that Wolverine and Nightcrawler would always go out and grab a beer with each other. Like, that was always a reoccurring thing in the issues. And, like, it was a big deal that when Gambit got invited to go have a beer with them.
No, and
like,
I think
but that was always, like, that, Bub and Elf went out and got their beer.
Yeah.
And I think Bendis is trying...
And he's German, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes
he's
sense.
German. Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know you Germans.
But I
like
think
beer.
Bendis is doing a great job
good
on the
beer.
X-Men of sort of bringing it back to what made X-Men great, which is it's a great cosmic soap opera.
Yeah.
It's about the relationships.
I'm just waiting for
between
him
people.
to start bringing the Shi'ar back into it.
I know, right?
Oh, shit.
I would love that.
Well, I mean, Kid Gladiator's back in the mix now, which I'm really excited to see him back. I like that. I didn't pick up the annual. Is it out? I missed it. I don't know.
Which one?
There's some
annual?
X-Men annual that's
or
out.
Wolverine and the X-Men?
Maybe. It was a Wolverine and the X-Men annual. I don't know. Anyways, I missed it. It's in the back of this. But it shows, like, him, Kid Gladiator, back in the Empire. Yeah, see? Wolverine and the X-Men annual. Yeah, it shows him back in the Shi'ar Empire and what he's been doing since he was taken out and how he's just, like, sad and eating by himself. And then
that book's coming to an end, too.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. But, Amazing X-Men is going to hopefully pick up kind of where Wolverine and the X-Men left off.
Yeah, I think so. And, you can pick up all this stuff at Earth 2 Comics and Sherman Oaks and Northridge.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's where I picked up mine, in fact.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this Wolverine and the X-Men issue too, number 38, because it was like, oh my god, like they were back at the school. They were just back at the school. And you had Eye Guy, and he's like in charge of the fucking newspaper. Yeah. He's like getting all these scoops, and like that was really cute. I had a lot of fun with that. You find out that Evan is hanging out with that Chinese dragonfly stone chick, whatever her name is.
I don't know. I like you. I like the way you described her a lot better. Chinese stone chick,
whatever, but Evan's got somebody. He's got a girlfriend. That's good. Heidi and Quentin are still doing their thing. It's mentioned a little bit.
And these great characters that, like the Quentin character that Grant Morrison introduced.
God, I love these new young X-Men. Like, I really do. And, like, I would love to see a book, really, that's just about
Do you remember the episode or the issue that came out, I guess, last month, 2 months ago, where it's the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, quote-unquote, and they've infiltrated the school, and they're taking their orders from Dazzler, but it's not really Dazzler.
Yeah, it's Mystique Dazzler. It is Mystique. Yeah,
I loved when...
Like, she wouldn't know about Dazzler.
Yeah, but the Try Guy is giving the rundown of all the characters and kind of getting you up to speed on who, like, these younger X-Men are.
Yeah.
And I love that Eye Guy. They're fully like, well, he spends a lot of time in the Danger Room, and he's kind of becoming a really dangerous assassin.
Yeah.
I was like... Oh, because he made the joke about the gun, and he was cool for, like, all of 5 seconds during the whole Frankenstein thing.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that Eye Guy, of all people, is now, like...
Coming into his own.
He's going to be, like, a dangerous assassin?
It's awesome.
That's so
I love
rad.
See, but that's what's awesome about the X-Men when you do the X-Men right. Like, the Grant Morrison run was great. He introduced Beak.
Yeah.
Beak was a great
where's
character.
The Beak, man?
We need Beak back.
Where's the fucking Beak?
Bring Beak back.
Bring him back. Where is he?
I think Beak and Mudbug need to have a crossover.
Do you remember when there was an angel? Like, remember, like, Beak got her pregnant?
Yeah. All right. So, I would, here's a little quick thing before we get into questions. Okay? This is another little quick thing about, this is my thing. It's my conspiracy theory moment. Conspiracy theory moment.
All right, we're going to just sit back and let you have your
conspiracy moment. feel free to chime in. All right.
Okay.
I got beef with this Xbox nonsense that's going on.
Oh, conspiracy time with 19.
Yeah, conspiracy time with CBG 19. All right, so this is my understanding of the situation, right? So we got this new Xbox coming out. It's got a crazy camera on there. It can measure your heartbeat. It has facial recognition software within it.
Yes.
Correct.
It can map out your fucking house or some shit. Right. Like it knows when you're home. It can, I guess be used by other people. Over at Microsoft could if they wanted to go on there and get information and things like that.
Correct.
From you.
Yes.
I also understand that Microsoft has been implicitly they actually, it's a fact, helped the NSA develop their Prism software, which was used to spy on everyone.
Yeah.
So what I'm supposed to understand is that this Xbox is not a spy machine. It is merely a game machine, and that it will never be used for anything nefarious. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to believe that. It's crazy that you think that you're going to buy this fucking Xbox and that it will never bite you in the ass and that it will not be used against you.
I have one response to what you're saying.
Okay.
There is no privacy anymore.
No.
And not only that, the very fact that you make your living doing podcasts proves that you don't want privacy. I mean...
I do, though.
But we don't have it anymore. We don't. It's an illusion.
Well, I've been thinking about that a lot lately, about transparency. And, like, if we are moving into a transparent thing, everybody has to be transparent.
But here's the thing. Here's the one thing you have to understand. If you have too much information, who's going to process all of it?
Well, okay.
If they know everything if they know every single thing about everything you do, how do they keep track of it? They can't. The best way you can combat the NSA is to be completely transparent. Completely transparent.
No, that's true.
Because it's Facebook and tweets.
But at the same time, what if you somehow? Because the thing is, yeah, they're not gonna be looking at everybody all the time. Of course not. Nobody can do that. It's too many fucking people. But
you hide in plain sight.
But what if you do something that pings their radar that they don't like? What if you go to some fucking protest and they're like, oh, this guy, and then they have the access.
I'm already on an FBI thing for doing protests with a buddy of mine who was into politics in the 90s.
Oh, Jesus.
See, yeah, I mean, I think at that point...
Well, okay.
Let's put it this way. If you have already made the very conscious decision that you're going to go to a protest, you've already accepted the consequences of what's going to happen.
I just hate that people are rolling over and just being like, whatever, take my rights.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
I don't know
if
they're rolling over. What I see is a society of oversharers, of people who are so desperate to be noticed that they blab about every single thing in their life. I got fired from a job. I posted on Facebook.
Right.
I just had a great bowel movement. I posted on Facebook. Yeah. So people don't want privacy. So
maybe you're right. I don't know.
They really don't.
See, that's the thing. That's why I moved to LA, is because I value, and it sounds, I know how incredibly ironic this sounds. Yeah. I value my anonymity. Okay? Like in Alabama, you don't have it. Everyone knows somebody. You go to some fucking bar, you see somebody, oh, I went to your high school. I know your fucking mom.
Yeah, but here's what they have. They have data, but they don't have you. They don't really have you. You, my love, are like a great onion. And the only thing that a Facebook or something would have the very outer skin of an onion. But they can't. The real things that are intimate, the real things that are you, they can't touch that.
You know, it's just, I heard Grant Morrison talking about it. He was talking about all the London cameras. And he was just saying, to even be even weirder in front of the cameras. Like, just have such a good time in front of the cameras. The people who are spying on you.
The whole point of the Invisibles was that the villains become the heroes and the heroes become the villains. The best thing you can do is live such a transparent life. What do you really do that's so horrible that they're going to find out about?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I don't do anything, but the thing is like, you see the media, and it's like something that isn't bad, but they can twist it and make you look like an asshole somehow, and then it's like,
they were doing that back in the 70s and 60s to Abby Hoffman and those guys. They had COINTELPRO. Nixon was doing that back then.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing new under the sun. It's just good people will always have to stand up.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
That's true. You know, but this is another thing, though. Transparency. Yeah. If we are going to move to a transparent place, which is going to happen in the information age, it's just how it is. The thing is like, these other assholes, like companies and governments, you guys are going to have to become transparent too, motherfuckers. Like,
exactly. It goes
both fucking ways.
That we could watch all these companies and the government like a reality show.
No, yeah, the leaders should be on a reality show.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
Like the Snowden, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this whole thing about the NSA. One guy did that.
Yeah.
One guy.
Yeah, and he had to move to freaking Russia to get away from it.
But guess what? This one guy is literally bringing our government to its knees.
Yeah.
One guy.
Yeah. More of those.
So to me, there's a flip side to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because as much as the information they have on us, we also have all the information on them now.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes both ways. It's more. That's why I'm still very hopeful, and I won't ramble on too long about this. But there's one thing I'm still very hopeful about Occupy. I think it was a great concept, and I still think it's going to come back. Because the whole idea of a decentralized, no central leadership, a decentralized protest movement
was pretty cool.
And it's not going to go away. It's going to come back because it was a genius idea. They just didn't carry it far enough. But you can't kill Martin Luther King if everyone's Martin Luther King.
Right.
You can't kill V for Vendetta if everyone's wearing the mask.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, we have power as well.
Yeah, we do. No, we do. And the thing is, we've forgotten that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't remember that. We don't think about our civic duty. You know, it's just like, oh, what can I get?
Well, I think
I think
you're a lot like me. Yes, you are.
I've been in a dark place.
Listen, look, you're a lot like me in the sense that it's easy to see the darkness in things.
Yeah.
But there is a flip side to it.
Yeah.
I know where you are. I get where you are, and
Yeah.
I've
Well, it's
been
like-
there, and I think that way a lot.
You know that whole saying where it's like, to truly love something, you have to see it in all its flaws and learn to love it anyways. And I feel
Yes.
like I'm in seeing it in all its flaws mode, where I've just been bombarded.
Right, but you
with,
haven't
like,
learned to love it yet.
You know, yeah, I'm still working on like figuring out how I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
You and me
know?
both. I mean, it's a lifelong process.
It is. It sure is. But yeah. Well,
Okay.
Twitter questions.
Geez,
That was sweet. I
Yeah.
like that.
Well, that was
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
I have to put my 2 cents in for a second, and it's that I do agree with transparency, and I do agree that I think the Occupy movement was pretty genius. Kind of frustrated that the certain wrong people were the face of the Occupy movement.
Well, that's the
Like,
problem. Yeah.
yeah,
That's the
you know.
problem, is that anyone became the face of it.
That said and done, I probably share the same sentiments as you guys, but I also feel like we're heading towards something a little bit bigger and scarier down the road.
Oh, dude,
I really,
shit's breaking down.
Yeah, I really do start kind of subscribing to the theory that 2015, like
gonna
we
take off
we
in
as
weird
people are
ways,
going to be a
man.
little bit more self-aware.
Well, okay.
It just I don't.
By the way,
Okay.
do you guys know that there are huge protests going on in tons of other countries? But
All
do you
the
ever hear
time
about it?
right now, yeah.
But you don't hear about it on the news.
Yeah.
But like Thailand, I mean, it's just like going off in Thailand right now. Some people in the Ukraine, I think, just tore down a fucking statue of Lenin and were like, "Fuck this shit," you know? Like everyone's pissed right now, and like America needs to catch up. But we've always been...
America's already heading towards. Listen, we're heading towards another Great Depression.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I mean,
If not worse.
Right.
we're heading.
Collapse.
Yeah. No, it's a time.
If you guys want to understand where we're at now, I recommend reading a book called The Fervent Years by Harold Clurman.
Okay.
Books about the Great Depression, or Johnny Got His Gun by Dalton Trumbo. The point is that all the past is prologue. Everything that has happened before. And in the 30s, when people were flirting with communism and all that stuff, it's not because everybody wanted to be communist. They didn't believe in the system anymore. It had failed them.
Right.
Yeah.
And it had failed, and it's the failure is the same failure that's happening now.
Yeah.
Look around you at the world we're in now. Okay, so everything's online. You can buy everything online. Retail is struggling. We're outmoding human beings. Like, in other words, we're putting ourselves out of jobs.
Yeah.
Right.
We are in such a period of great transition that I don't think we have any concept. We don't really know where we're going to be in 5 years.
No.
Okay, and-
Absolutely
Exactly
not.
why, going back to the previous conversation, people are worried about Xbox and spying on you. It's like,
Yeah.
what happens if the government decides they want to clamp down on everything?
Well, that's the thing. They're going
Use it
to
for
clamp
evil.
down on everyone because they are falling apart. And in their fear,
but the
they are going to try whatever they can to keep it going.
Okay, but here's one quote I got for you. Fundamentalism, which is what I believe this all is rooted in a fear of extinction. The harder you try to control people, the harder it is to control them.
Yes.
The more you try to clamp down, the greater the resistance.
Yeah.
The problem with America is we have been lulled
Yes.
into a state of sleep.
I know.
Through our entertainment, through these opiate for the masses.
Well, it's consumerism. We're consumers.
But it's not working anymore.
No.
Being a consumer isn't working anymore.
Yeah.
Okay,
Curse,
so
sir.
this is where I'm at. Going back to the
right
fact that I
across from
think
me.
we are slowly becoming self-aware. There was something I was listening to, and I've been kind of doing some research on. Our American economy now is now starting to see this thing called sharing economy. And sharing economy is like the Lyfts and the Ubers.
Yeah.
Like people who have their own like commodity and they're sharing it with people. Like
Yeah.
I myself own a car, but it is possible for me to make money off of owning my own car. So that's why I'm...
Yeah, because shit's going to get
Yeah.
tight.
And I think we're becoming a little bit more self-aware. In the sharing economy, there's also this idea, there's this, I forgot this website. But basically, you go on the website and you say, hey, I have a house or an apartment. And if you basically, rent out your room or your home or whatnot. And there are people who are now paying their mortgages because the economy has now failed them. They got laid off. So in order for them to pay their mortgages, 2 of the bedrooms in their house have become quote-unquote hotel rooms, and they've converted their home into a bed and breakfast for people who want to.
Yeah.
And here's this thing where I'm beginning to really understand and realize that as this sharing economy, this sharing idea starts growing and becoming bigger, and yes, there are laws right now, especially in New York and LA, that are trying to clamp down on, well, you cannot use your car as a taxi service. No, you cannot use your house as a bed and breakfast.
Yeah,
in
just
order
try
for
and stop me.
Yeah, guess what?
Go
It ain't
for
gonna
it.
fucking happen.
Like,
That I think people are now becoming much more aware of each other.
yeah.
And where we're all
Well,
at.
that is...
And I'm beginning to realize that lull to sleep thing, because that now we are finding our own way, and we're kind of going, well, fuck the law, fuck this, fuck your rules. This is how I survive.
Right. Well,
that message is going to start spreading a little bit.
Communities are going to have to start becoming self-sustaining.
Well, I was recently in
period,
I was recently in Baltimore? No, Portland.
Okay.
That's how they run Portland.
Yeah.
You go to the restaurant and they're like, "Oh no, we got the eggs from the farm that's like two blocks down."
Yeah.
They say it on the menu.
Yeah.
They create these little.
No, I'm hoping that LA can catch up to San
The
Francisco.
true
Portland.
change is not going to happen from the top down.
No.
It's going to be a trickle up.
That's exactly
It's
what I'm
the
saying.
exact opposite of what everyone thinks is going to happen.
And that's where I'm exactly thinking, like, that's where you're now going to be becoming much more socially aware of who we are, who our neighbors are, and who our community is. And that's when we all kind of go, wait a second, there's a lot more of us than there are of them.
No, there are.
A lot more.
And, I saw this thing, too. It's, like, had a picture of, like, an American neighborhood. And then had a picture of a neighborhood in Europe where everybody had gardens in their backyards. Every single person had a garden. And everyone would barter with each other. Be like, okay, you're doing the carrots?
Yeah.
I got potatoes. We'll trade later. And it's like... yes,
totally.
Yes. I wish I was better at growing stuff. I'm terrible at growing things.
But the book I was mentioning, Johnny Got His Gun, was written by Dalton Trumbo, was one of the Hollywood 10.
Okay.
Who, when they had the House of Un-American Activities.
Right.
And they blacklisted people.
Yeah.
He wrote a book. You ever see the video One by Metallica?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, that's Johnny Got His Gun. That's what that whole thing is based on. It's about a guy who's in World War I, and he gets blown to bits.
Right.
He has no arms, no legs. His face is gone. They keep him alive.
Mm-hmm.
And they figure out the Morse code is
and
kill
there's
me
this
over and over and over again.
But there's this amazing speech at the end of the book where he finally says, "What if people just stopped going to war for old men?
Yeah.
What if the people who made things stopped making things for it's just I mean." It's no wonder they tried to suppress this man.
Yeah.
And I recommend this book to anybody. But the point is that the truth is we have numbers, but we are made to feel alone and isolated.
Completely.
In this world. And that is what the trick is. I believe things like Facebook and whatnot are more isolating than they are.
Absolutely.
Than they are, united.
Well, it's fraudulent is the problem, because people go on there and they want to project an image of their lives and of themselves that may or may not contend with their actual realities. So what you're getting on Facebook is what people's ideal life, or ideal drama.
So that's what I'm saying. So what is the NSA really seeing? They're not seeing any. They're seeing people's the Who song "Eminence Front." They're seeing the best face of somebody putting something forward. They're not seeing the dude I couldn't get out of bed this morning because I was depressed. I mean, they're not seeing that. I mean, they're not, but there's hope.
Yeah, I hope so.
Look, I'm with you.
Wow, I needed that.
We're back with Twitter questions.
We got questions.
We've got Twitter questions.
Darren and Kirk have got this.
Got a jingle for every
They've got
We're gonna be fucking rich, dude.
Oh my god.
So, one question, quick question. The action figure asks, I've seen some of your art and it's really good. What are your suggestions regarding pencils and paper for artists drawing comics? And this is what changed my life, was switching from regular pencils, sketching in regular pencil, to Col-Erase Prisma pencils. There is a light blue one that you can't see when you copy, so you can draw in this light blue one and then pencil over it, and then you can copy and don't see it. But I don't like that one. I like the regular blue one or the red one, but don't fuck with any of the other ones. They're really hit or miss. So regular blue or the regular red, carmine red or something, I think. I don't know. Those are great to sketch with. They're really waxy. You can get deep tones and light tones. And you can erase them. You can erase them as well. So it's a lot of fun. Do that. And also, Blue Line Pro is a company that makes paper for comic book artists. So you can buy a Blue Line Pro 11x17 piece of Bristol board, and it already has the markings of where a bleed would be if you're going to publish things. So it can help you with that sort of deal, because that's the hardest part of one of the hardest parts of putting a comic together is physically putting it together and like having all the pages work and make sense and printing them, and it's a giant nightmare. So Blue Line Pro helps with that. They also have these giant sketchbooks that are 11 by 17 size that I love. So yeah, there you go. That's my knowledge.
I like turtles.
I like turtles.
I like to draw.
That was awesome. That was
like
a
to
whole
draw.
lesson right there. That was
Well,
rad.
you know,
I'm gonna have to slow it down. Like,
I know, like, I'll get it in there for you.
I'm a mixed media artist, so all that was kind of like, well, I could use a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah. Always experiment.
Insane.
All right, T-Bone, you take over. What's
another
throw us
question?
a question. We're gonna either take it or pass it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Fine.
Okay.
You talked about black science on this podcast before, right?
Not yet.
We haven't talked about it. We mentioned it, but it didn't come out. It just came out.
Cody Nunes says, "What did you think of Black Science #1?"
Ah, crap. I didn't read it yet. I wanted to wait until next podcast.
I totally read it, and I totally enjoyed it.
That's a
I
reminder.
read it as well, and I really enjoyed it.
And it's like a Lost in Space thing, kind of, and
Kind of like you're just plopped right in the middle of the
Yeah.
story that you don't quite know what's happening, but it's fun.
But it's exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to read it, and I'm really going to like it.
Yeah, I like that format too. If this is what they're going for with their format, is a Monster of the Week type situation where they're in a new weird place with new weird things happening instead of having one overreaching, goal per whatever. So
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
He's got a great imagination, and
Yeah.
it's good to see him have a book where he can basically.
This
do
is the
whatever.
Remender.
Yeah,
the new
and
Remender
you got,
series, right?
Dean White, and
Yeah.
you have Matteo Scalera, and it's just like, oh, the art, so good. So
Okay,
yeah, Black
alright.
Science.
We'll talk about that more. Don't
Pick it
worry.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll come up again. All right. Donald Donahue asks, "Are you brand-specific reader? Do you prefer DC, Marvel, Image, or whatever else?
No.
If not so, do you believe that being brand-specific hinders one's experience in enjoying comics and other forms of media?"
Absolutely. Absolutely, it hinders your experience. Absolutely. It's the dumbest thing in the entire world to only read comics from one fucking publisher. That makes no sense whatsoever. This team mentality, this sports fucking bullshit needs to go. Does no place in comics. I'm sorry, you nooblers who don't understand that you can be Marvel and DC. I judge books based on their fucking individual merits, okay? Whether they're actually good or not. And that's what you should read. You should read what is good.
I long ago. I was about to quote a Billy Joel song. That's nothing.
Keep going.
I long ago just followed writers and artists. Mm-hmm. I don't really follow companies.
That's always what I've done.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter who Mark Wade is writing for, whether it's Boom Studios, DC,
Good writer's
or
a good
Marvel.
writer.
I'm always following Mark Wade.
Yeah, and you've got Ed Brubaker was writing a ton of Marvel stuff, and then he's writing a bunch of Image stuff. It's like the brand is a brand, but the quality of the writer is really and the artist is what I'm always looking for.
Definitely.
Right,
Definitely.
Right. So, yeah, we were talking about this earlier, and I feel like the problem that's happening right now is there's this culture developing. Well, there's a culture that's always been there in the mainstream culture where it's black and white. It's this versus that culture.
Yeah.
Like Alabama versus Auburn.
Right.
Now people are pushing that onto comic books.
Yeah.
So my question to you, Darren, has it always been like that?
It's
or
always
is it just
been
happening
it's
now?
always been like that. But there's different types of readers. There's different audiences. There's people who and again, it's all about what you want, what the collector wants to get out of comics. There's certain people who go, I always collect all the Spider-Man books. And that's what I've always done. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And there's other people who go, I just want to read a really good story.
Yeah.
And they don't care what company you're giving it from. But the whole like make mine Marvel, Marvel against DC. I mean,
do you think that it's gotten worse though? Because I feel like geek culture obviously has expanded since the movies and all this stuff. So you're bringing all these new people in who may not.
Do I think it's gotten worse? No.
Okay.
No, and I don't. I think it's a non-issue, to be honest. It's only an issue to people who it's an issue to.
Who make it an issue.
But
Yeah.
for me, it's just never. It's where you're at. When you're a little kid, you might like Marvel more than DC or DC more than Marvel. That's just because when you're a little kid. But as I grew, as I got older, and as I matured, I started going, wait a minute, all the books I like are written by this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you're a kid mentality is to collect Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
And collect all the different Pokemon. So the collector mentality when you're a kid makes sense because that's how kids' minds are organized.
Yeah.
But as a kid gets older, they will realize all the stuff that I love is written by this guy or
Right.
drawn by that guy. And that's where people make the leap.
Yeah.
If people choose not to make that leap, that's fine. To me, collecting comics, collecting in general, is a personal thing. It's all about That's why I almost feel like it's a silly public topic, because collecting is a personal thing.
Yeah.
You
Right.
collect what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So to have debates about which company is better than another inherently seems to go against the whole point of collecting, which is it's a personal thing, a personal vision quest you undergo to find out
what you need to find.
what you need to find in something.
Yeah.
So who am I to tell you, Danica or Kirk, that the way you approach it is wrong?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not my way, but it's your way. Oh my God, we're just preaching tolerance and acceptance.
I know. Can you believe it?
No, because I know people who they only get Marvel, and that's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't bother me.
Well,
I mean,
the
it's just.
thing is-
I mean, it's not how I am, but I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
people follow their own bliss, and you
Yeah.
get whatever bliss you can get in this life. And if the bliss you get is by reading a bunch of different stuff, or only getting one thing, that's fine.
My mentality when I was always a kid, like Wolverine always played with Batman, and then the Ghostbusters would totally team up with the Ninja Turtles, and then
When you're playing with your action
right,
figures.
and then you weren't even fighting the bad guys anymore. At one point, you just realized that everyone was just having a pizza party at the Ghostbusters
Dude,
tower.
I used to make my
and
own.
that was really Castle Grayskull was like the neighbor, and it was rad.
I used to
But
make
I
my
kinda
own.
took-
Yeah.
but I think I kind of took that mentality with me into when I grew up.
Yeah.
Into collecting.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
when I would play with my action figures up until really a late age, like too long, I would make my own spaceships and my own, and I would create like Jean Grey would fight alongside Princess Leia.
Oh, of course.
I mean, there was all sorts of cross,
Yeah.
and it was fun. Imagination was just like,
See, Jabba the Hutt was the best though because he was just this big character that sat anywhere. So I would just put him on the top of the couch, and that was Mount Jabba, and he was always just a bad guy. But you could just put Mount Jabba over
Just
there,
anywhere. Whatever.
and he would be controlling his troops while you're trying to beat
He's just
Mount
chilling.
Jabba. It was a thing.
Yeah. I did a lot
thing.
more Barbies, to be honest, but I did action figures too, though.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, next question. All right.
But I still want to keep talking about action
Anthony
figures.
Rosenbaum asks about Saga. A lot of people have asked about Saga. We've talked about Saga, haven't we?
A little.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
touched
We're
on
going
it.
to talk more about it.
Yeah, no, we want to do a whole review on Saga. I've just been waiting for a good ending point on it to talk about it, because I feel like
Oh, it's not coming, especially after the last issue.
I know,
Oh.
and that's the thing about Saga that makes it so hard to talk about, is that it's not one that you can. The name of the book is Saga. It's supposed to be a long, big,
it's an epic story.
expansive thing. So it's hard to talk about it when we've just, I feel like, gotten into it. Like,
Well, yes, and it's also, I mean, I would say to see where he's going, look at what he's written. Mm-hmm. And in the end, his stuff's always about, like, Why the Last Man was really about a guy and a girl.
yeah.
Yeah.
In the end, without take away all the sci-fi tropes. So eventually, when Saga's over, you'll know what it is. Mm-hmm. But I think it's very difficult to say what it is now.
Yeah.
Now it's basically like Homeric epic storytelling,
Yeah.
which is and then, and then,
And then.
and then. But the one storytelling device that tells me that it isn't going to be and then, and then, and then, is it's already being told in future
yeah.
tense.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the twist on it that
Yeah.
I think makes it brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's been so much fun. I've really enjoyed. I feel like I've seen some other comics that are really trying to jump on that Saga train, like take a little bit of that, but they're just not. They just can't.
Well, they're not Brian K. Vaughan.
Exactly.
I mean, only
It's like
Brian
they
K.
just-
Vaughan can do Brian K.
They're just
Vaughan.
not like getting it, and it's like, and I see them trying, and it's like, I can't even explain how or why it works. It just does.
It works because of who he
know.
is. You can only be you can only write the best way you can write.
Mm-hmm.
To try and sort of ape Brian K. Vaughan is a foolhardy
Okay.
Yeah.
endeavor.
Yeah. Well, it's like, the thing about Saga too that I feel like people are really responding to, and why it's, because I've been thinking about, it's like, why is this one so hot right now? Not that I'm against it or anything like that. I enjoy it, but it is kind of like a quandary to me why specifically this one has blown up outside of the comics realm. Like, I feel like people who don't even know anything about comics are hearing things about Saga.
I
it's
think
like
it was
really
a
getting out
groundswell.
there.
I think it was a groundswell around a creator. Mm-hmm. Brian K. Vaughan started getting a rep outside of comics.
Yeah.
Why the Last Man got a rep outside of comics.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
was a
That's
book
true.
that's a book that's continually sold to people who are not into comic books.
Right.
Right.
And Brian K. Vaughan has consistently been that creator.
Yeah.
Those people remember
That's
his
true.
name.
That's really true. That's really true.
And they come back and they go, Brian K. Vaughan's doing something again. I want to read a comic again.
Yeah. I feel like, You know, and I always like to look at like the time and place when things are coming out, and it's like this is filling some need in the subconscious, you know, and I think that need is like, if you look at the main two characters, you have this opposing sides in this ridiculous war that nobody even knows why it started or where it's going or who, nobody even cares. And I feel like that's very like relative to our world, where it's like, wait, why are we doing all this? Like, what is the problem? Like, what's going on right now? And you have these two people that come together, put their differences aside, they have a baby, and that's a whole other thing. Babies are hot right now, man. Everybody's having babies.
Is that right?
Everybody's having babies. Like, everybody I know, but I'm in that age, I guess, where everybody's having babies.
Yeah.
Like, everywhere I turn.
All my friends are having babies.
Yeah. So there's that whole thing, too. But it's also, like, we're in a new century, and that's kind of like our baby, you know, as humanity. Like, we got this new century, and we're trying to figure it out, and there's this great struggle going on in the meantime, but we're trying to keep it pure. And
it might grow up and be rotten.
You know.
Well, I always say jokingly about my son, Brody, who is 7. He's a great kid, and but I always say he's so smart, and I say that he's either going to save the world or destroy it.
Yeah.
But either way, you're gonna be proud.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's something in Saga that people respond to if you're talking about kids. I'm a believer as a parent. I'm a believer that your kid is your kid. You can't mold him.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be something.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's just something in Brian K. Vaughan's writing. There's just this sort of all-inclusive quality.
Yeah.
You mean you're not going to force your kid to join the football team despite what he wants to do?
I'm not going to force my kid to read comics if he doesn't want to.
T-Bone, do you have anything you want to talk about?
Yeah.
That was your dream, Dad.
It was exactly. No, and I had to do that, so I don't want to be that kind of dad.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think something about Brian K. Vaughan, he just taps into the Gen Xers and the Gen Y, and he sort of taps into sort of where we're at.
He does.
He's got the zeitgeist, as the Nazis would say, or
the
Germans. No, but he's got the sort of the reason he resonates with people is the same, like, because he somehow gets us.
Yeah.
And it's an intangible.
I know. It's
sort
nice.
of magical.
It is magical.
I like not knowing. Like, why do we have to know everything?
We don't.
I can just smell a flower and go, that was a nice flower.
That's I've been struggling with that a lot myself lately, where it's just like acceptance. Like, we just, like humans, like, I gotta know why. And it's like, how about you just accept it and just go with it? Like, do you need to suck all the magic out of it? Like,
such
to enjoy
as the conundrum.
You know?
Such as the conundrum.
Right. I know.
Okay, a lot of people are asking about the Godzilla trailer that apparently just dropped. I haven't seen it. We haven't seen it. Maybe you should just restate your trailer thing.
Okay, here's my trailer thing. I don't watch trailers because they set my expectations in unrealistic places, and I want to go into movies cold and be able to enjoy them for what they are instead of having these weird expectations which may or may not be met.
Okay, that being said, I watched it and holy shit.
I haven't seen it. I
did see the teaser trailer. I think was like 10 seconds a couple of months ago, and it looked great. I was very excited.
I love the design. Like we went to a guy.
I'm very excited about it, and I'm not going to watch any more of the trailer because
all I can say is that I saw. I loved Pacific Rim, which I knew nothing about, and I was like, if only a Godzilla movie could be made like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the trailer is at all like that, but Pacific Rim, Guillermo del Toro seemed to capture this sort of giddy feeling you had with the guy in the rubber suit at the same time as using the big special effects.
Well, the only two comparisons I can really draw from, especially talking about Pacific Rim, I thought one of the greatest things they could have done in that film was the water and the rain, and that really kind of gives you a better sense of how big those things are. It gives you like kind of like a scale of reference. I feel like in the Godzilla trailer that I just saw, that is totally fucking awesome. They're gonna try to do the same thing, but with like dust and wreckage.
Yeah, I remember seeing where you had the
scale. You're talking about scale.
Yeah. So I think that's
scale's been the big thing lately.
That's been their little story device that they're gonna use. Like, okay, so it's Pacific Rim. We took some notes. Water, rain, oceans. Got it.
Yeah, putting them next to monuments so you can see how big this robot is.
Yeah, I think they're going to do the exact same thing.
It's the same thing in Star Trek. The first Star Trek movie, I thought, did a great job of conveying the scope and the scale of like the starship as opposed to like
and it was all docked and everything.
Right. Yeah. Especially when it's like it shows up against Nero's future ship.
Yeah,
It's just like,
and then you're like, oh,
oh crap.
Yeah. Scale is always important, guys.
They did the same thing in the sequel too. It's funny you mentioned that.
But I am looking forward to the Godzilla.
Scale
film.
is key.
Yeah.
To me, that's the key in special effects, and that they often mess up in CGI, and people don't get that sense of wonder watching it because they don't do their job in perspective, in scope and perspective.
No, they always want to show you every fucking little detail that they rendered. Oh,
but they never show the robot. Whoa. They never show the robot or the monster in relation to objects that you can reference. Like, oh my god, that robot's huge because that dock.
Yeah. Right.
And I guess that's why I think of the rubber suit Godzilla movies. Did have even as cheesy as the effects were, it was all based on scale.
Yeah.
And that's why I love them. So I think we just figured something out.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Justin Pasalo is asking about Superior Spider-Man. Maybe quickly.
What's he asking about it?
Just, are you still collecting it? What do you think?
I'm still reading it. I am obviously having a lot of fun with the Doc Ock switcheroo.
Yeah.
And it's just fun. Like, I like the fact that Peter Doc Ock's now dating a little person.
Yes.
I think it's adorable.
Yes.
Love
it.
I just like how proactive Doc Ock has been using all of Peter's resources.
Yeah.
And it kind of almost makes me angry at Peter Parker.
Right?
At all the years that I've been reading Peter. Like,
it's like, Peter, you idiot!
It's like, oh, you're Parker, the Parker luck, where it's like everything that can go wrong will.
Yeah.
I'm like, you jerk. Maybe this is your fault.
It is his fault. It is his fault.
And I'm really... maybe they're just going to set up Doc Ock Peter for a really big fall.
Yeah.
Which I kind of see coming.
Yeah. Well...
But until then...
It's interesting that you bring that up because I am still, for some reason, reading Longshot Saves the Marvel Universe. I just, I want to read the whole thing.
The answer's in the title. Longshot
I know.
saves
I think it's a really cute idea. I don't think the execution is quite there necessarily, but I'm still picking it up just to get a little Longshot fix here and there. And there was a moment in it where Longshot is backing up Doc Ock Peter Parker. Like there's some weird time things going on or something, and so they figured out that he's Doc Ock or something, and they're like, you gotta come with us, dude.
Oh,
and then Longshot's like, no, man, he's trying to turn it around, though. Like, he's been, like, genuinely trying to be good. Like, you can't punish him now. Like, and I was like, fuck yeah, Longshot.
Now, is
like, sticking up, yeah.
Is Longshot Saves the Marvel Universe, which, by the way, again, coolest title ever.
Yes.
Is this current, or is this an alternate timeline? Or is this a future timeline?
It's current timeline, but there's weird dimensional things happening.
Okay.
It's not.
Cool.
I don't think it's time more than dimensional.
Well, I like the fact that Longshot's totally defending.
Yeah, though I was like, like defending my boy, you know, because like that's the thing. Like, this is one thing that as that's so bizarre that as humans we forget that people are human. And we're always like, ugh, you're a flaw. Like, you're an asshole. It's like, we've all made mistakes. Every single fucking person on this planet has made mistakes that they regret, and they've done asshole things, and we've all done things we're not proud of. And it's just, like, it's great that you have that thing with Doc Ock where it's like, he's trying to turn it around, and yet he's, and the whole,
I just remember reading the Spider-Man team-up, and on the first issue, he, like, decks Doctor Strange. He, like, decks all the heroes of the Marvel Universe. Yeah. You just see, because they're all being possessed by this demon or something.
Yeah, this entity that's, like...
But you don't get that. You don't get that till way into the book, and all you do is see, like, Spider-Man just knocking out Doctor
Just pummeling dudes.
Just pummeling him. And
did you see the one where they had the big, sexy... Black Cat and the new Spider-Man meet up for a second.
Oh, yeah, and he's like, get away from me.
The cover is great, because the cover is this totally super sexy Black Cat, Spider-Man, hands, and multiple, like, appendages, like, draped over each other. Mm-hmm. When you finally get to the scene, it's like, hey, Spider, where have you? And then, bam! Like, just
he's like, yeah,
clocks Black Cat. Just clocks her really quickly, webs her, and goes, sorry, I got someplace I gotta be.
It's like, sorry, I'm gonna let the cops get you, and I'm just
that's like almost
it was just gross.
It almost makes me think that somebody should take over Batman.
Right?
Do
that to
Catwoman.
I know. Catwoman's like, what? Yeah.
Okay. I got another question. All right, quick question is from Jim Leonardson. Could you tell me the story about the Humpty picture from Autonomous FX?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Any quick questions?
You should grab it up. You should grab it and show it to Darren.
So many questions I have just from that question.
It's her best picture.
I know it's one of my most exciting pictures that I've taken. So I used to intern for Autonomous Effects.
Okay.
And they had this guy that they made, Humpty. He's like this little egg creature that they put together. And apparently somebody had come up with an idea for an evil Humpty Dumpty movie. So they made this guy to kind of show them what they could do for their movie. And I'm trying to get the bid, you know.
Yeah.
But it never happened.
It all fell apart. But they still have this fucking guy.
Let me see this picture really quickly.
And he's so
amazing.
awesome.
I think that...
Holy
I think
crap!
we should ask the viewers to rally together to make this Humpty movie
I
happen.
know.
I'll tell you what's wrong, like why he's really not horrifying is there's no genitalia.
I know. If they put... Yeah, I mean...
This is weird.
That's
It
a
is weird.
scary
Oh,
looking
and
thing.
I never
and
noticed that. There is no genitalia.
well, and the story,
it's
I
just a
believe
thin
the
flesh.
story was that an alien crash landed in some swamp somewhere. Some hillbillies went out there.
Where did they find this picture?
Wait, what?
When did they take it?
No, when did they find it? Who found this? You
Where
didn't
do
tell
you
your
find
story in a
this?
second.
It's on our
It's on
Facebook.
our site. They're seeing it on the Facebook
Yeah,
site.
they're on- yeah.
The photos.
But
Okay, keep going.
Okay, so there's this alien crash lands. Hillbillies find the alien. Hillbillies rape the alien. And then this is the spawn of the hill. Yeah.
So it's like Deliverance sequel.
Yeah, and he's got like gross little fuzzy hair on the top. So if you backlit him, he'd like he's so gross. I love him.
He is really.
He
nasty.
looks like he could be something off of Squidbillies.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
just that creepy, oh god.
I know, he's so
I just love
amazing.
how happy you look in that picture.
I know. Yeah.
Ugh.
No, that's definitely something that I wish, could
I
go
have
somewhere.
I have
wish we could
expect
take
this
it
thing
somewhere.
Could totally
hiding
happen.
Okay, all right,
in my
next
apartment.
question. All right, next question is Dave Payor, who asks, basically he's asking about if you could take your favorite artist and assign him to any other book, what would it be?
Oh.
Oh, that's a tough one.
So pretend you're the head of whatever company and you can assign.
Okay.
Well, we finally got to see Jim Lee draw Batman. That was always really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But what would it be like if John Romita Jr. drew Batman?
I would love to see John Romita Jr. draw Superman.
Holy crap! Yes, I'm with you on that. I'm
Because
totally
he's
with
like
you
John
on that.
Romita Jr. has the Kirby-esque kinetic
Yeah.
quality that I think would be so necessary in Superman right now.
I want to change my answer to your answer. Yes, that's great.
Gosh, I have too many artists that I like though. It's like, I would love to see, Ross Campbell from Glory do X-Men. Like, I've seen his sketches of X-Men and they're just so fucking cute. It's just
Good.
like,
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I love the way that he draws women in costumes and stuff like that. I'd really like to see who else? I just want to see more Nick Bradshaw. Period.
Yeah, I like Nick Bradshaw. He reminds me of
God,
Art
I
Adams.
like it's so fun and just has that comic book energy about it that I feel like you just don't get as much anymore. It's got that great balance of cartoonism, realism, because now everybody's trying to be so real and all the time, and I don't know. I want to see more of him. Just end of story.
I agree with you. That's what I was going to say.
I'd like to see Alex Maleev draw Hawkeye.
Oh god, especially in the current run right now with Fraction and him teaming up.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. That would work.
Because I don't know if you guys saw, but Greg Hurwitz is a great writer. He writes a lot of crime books, but he writes Batman: The Dark Knight, and he's done this really excellent story with Alex Maleev as the artist. And Alex Maleev doing Batman is really good.
I bet.
Like really, really good. It's a Clayface story. Like,
I love Clayface.
really great DC story, and
Now-
Greg Hurwitz just nails
Now
it.
here's the thing, because the reason why I think that's a great idea that you're throwing out there is Maleev really doesn't stick to minimalist color palettes. He likes to kind of run the gamut.
Yeah.
How cool would it be if he was doing Hawkeye and they're like, but by the way, you gotta stick to the 3 color scheme. That's where I would kind of
He would totally run. He'd run with that.
Totally.
And I'd like to see Michael Golden come back and work on anything.
More Opeña, except not in, I don't know, that Avengers stuff. I don't know. I looked at his Avengers stuff and I was like, it just seemed like he maybe have been more rushed or
No,
something
it's the
like
stuff
that.
he did on
But
on
Uncanny X-Force.
Uncanny X-Force is untouchable.
Like, it is just
that first storyline.
Oh yeah.
That first storyline is untouchable.
Yeah, no, it's
Perfect.
I want to see more of that Opeña stuff. Like, just
That's rough. I mean, because to see that kind of art is literally like the kind of art you would get in a European Mobius.
Yes.
Right.
Like
Yes.
it's
I mean,
impossible
it's
to get
just-
that on a monthly.
I know,
basis.
but that's the thing. It's like put it like because this is something with the X-Men. Yeah, we were talking about earlier. It's like the X-Men really are made for continuity, and they are made for the long haul and issues and stuff like that. But I would like to see because people ask me all the time, where do I start with X-Men? And it's like, just fucking jump in, man. Like, there's no. X-Men's one of the only people that I feel like don't really have a ton of those standalone. I mean, they do have standalone stories, but it's like I wish we could have.
There's
more
enough.
of
I can
that.
get them. I mean,
Batman has a million of them.
Batman has a million of them, but with X-Men, you can always go to the Dark Phoenix saga or
Yeah,
Days
yeah.
of Futures Past,
Okay.
and you're fine.
Yeah. But it's like I'd like to see more.
But that was in 1982.
More of that. So I'd like to see Opeña do some more X-Men stuff. That's just like a little.
I'd like them to give him time. As much time as
take
he
as
needs
much time
to
as he
do that.
wants. Him and Dean White.
What I want in general are for all the publishers, the big two, Marvel and DC, to give the great artists and writers like out of continuity
carte
stories
blanche.
that they can tell and give them the time to write it and draw
Yes.
it.
That's yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why not?
Yes.
Do you have any idea how many units
Yes.
of those you would sell as opposed to
Well,
a month?
yes,
all I
and
think
you'll
of,
sell
all
them
I
for the
think
rest
of
of
is Kingdom Come, Long Halloween.
Yeah.
These were all
Red
stories that were like
Sun,
Yeah,
All-Star Superman.
All-Star Superman. These
Yeah.
were all stories that were predicated on that. You give them the time,
Yeah.
you get the greatest team, you give them the time,
And you know what?
let them do it.
Yeah.
Even though we've talked about ad nauseum, but going back to the Thor
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
Like, even though that was part of an ongoing series, that whole thing was a standalone with glorious storytelling and
Yeah.
glorious
Oh, the Assad
art.
Ribic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And the Jason
So
Aaron
good.
stuff. Oh,
Oh,
God.
That was amazing.
So good.
There was only one fill-in issue, and it wasn't technically a fill-in issue.
I have filmed.
Yeah.
And I've loaned those 2 hardcovers now to probably 4 or 5 different people.
I'm
Yeah,
sure,
God Bomb.
And everyone keeps coming back going, I now love Thor. Like,
This is awesome.
Speaking
It's one of
which,
those stories.
someone did ask if you're still reading the new Thor arcs.
I dropped off. I started reading a couple of the Malekith ones.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, I just felt like he had his statement and he said it, and now he's just, like he's still doing it. But I felt like God Bomb and God Butcher was his
Amazing.
statement. So it's like I'm gonna wait and see
So
like
good.
if I hear a bunch of really good stuff about the next runs that come out, I'll definitely pick those up in trade form. But as far as issues go, I'm
I
gonna
think
let
you
it.
should just pick them up just for the art anyway.
Well, I don't. Is Assad Ribic still doing it though?
No, it's Ron Garney.
Yeah,
Ron
they-
Garney's a
Oh, okay.
really
No,
good.
he's good
He's
too.
a
though.
really good artist. That dude never gets credit, but he's a really good artist.
Yeah.
is Jason Aaron still writing?
Yeah.
Well, what's Assad
See-
Ribic doing now?
Who
Anybody
knows?
That guy is always like, once he's off one project, they got him on another.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what the next thing he's doing is,
Doing
but
something.
But see, the thing is with Jason Aaron, it doesn't matter whether it's Thor or whatever it is he's writing. Except for X-Men, because he really has figured out the serial formula for that. Going back to trades, I read Jason Aaron in trade form.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I love Scalped.
Scalped is awesome.
Scalped is amazing.
Can we clone Dean White and have him color everything?
Yes.
Because I think that we should just
Done.
start
It's
cloning him
done.
now. Because
Consider
that
it done.
guy.
That's
Yeah.
a good. It's a good point. Colorists are really the new. Colorists are
Coming up.
important.
Yes.
Mhm.
Coming up. I'm excited to, I'm excited that
Unless
there are
it's Batman
colorists
black and white.
out there that are just blowing me away, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, it is one of those things where, they're kind of like the third man on the totem pole, as far as like pay goes and all this other stuff, and they're always waiting on everybody else, and they're kind of passed over a little bit. But Dean White has made me like stop and be like, whoa, this, more of this.
Yeah.
And Ives Forcina, who is doing the coloring for the God Bomb, God Butcher stuff, like, he was killing it. More of that.
Okay, maybe the last question.
All right.
Christo, Stefan, and some other people. We've
What?
seen a lot of questions about the show Almost Human, which you need to watch.
Ooh.
Anybody seen it?
Yes.
See, I haven't seen
I
it.
Yes,
watched
I have.
I watched the pilot and I watched the first episode after the pilot.
Okay. I
Yeah.
downloaded it, but we haven't watched it.
I thought it was great.
I've been keeping up on it, and I was just watching it the other day. And where the hell was this
I'm a
thing
fan
that
of
I
Carl
said?
Urban.
Me too.
So
Well, yeah,
I love the Dredd movie.
I'm
Well,
down.
everyone wants a Dredd sequel. He kills it as McCoy in the Star
Yes.
Trek flicks.
Oh,
And this has been really fun because it's given him a chance to kind of show a little bit of comedy, just
Yeah.
a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely giving him a character that breathes. That said and done, I was sitting down watching one of the first episodes, the pilot episode with my friend. It's like, dude, this thing really has for network television, a really great Blade Runner vibe. And
That's exactly what I was going to say, Blade Runner.
And the very next scene, they're outside in the rain eating noodles.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, come on, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's like the Blade Runner universe just sort of fleshed out into a weekly show.
I don't know if you guys know this.
You never saw Blade Runner.
No.
No!
I want to live in Blade Runner universe.
Ugh.
That's my dream. I love
That's funny.
that look. I love everything. I felt like the other night I was actually downtown, and a friend of mine, it was their birthday, and we were all layered, and it was like kind of rainy and cold, and we were in some like kind of well lit nice bar down, or not bar, but this place, and it was like we're in Blade Runner right now, guys. It's like, do you realize we're almost
there?
We're almost there right now.
We're so close, man.
Because it is LA in the future. I mean,
I always wanted to live in a Terry Gilliam movie.
See, that might be a little too hyperkinetic.
Yeah,
for
I
me.
know.
I'd be a little scared.
I don't know. I always wanted to live in
maybe like
Darren Munchausen. I wanted to live in.
like
Jeez,
if I could pick and choose for how long I could live in a Gilliam movie, I'd be okay. 24/7.
I couldn't do Blade Runner. I couldn't live in Blade Runner universe.
I know, man.
I
I want to
love
go to
it.
Snake Pit. I want to fucking. It's dirt. It's just.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's.
Oh, but really quickly, the other thing I wanted to talk about with Almost Human. Yes, it's good. Yes, the storytelling is great. The casting is spot on throughout the entire show. Like, I'm not having any issues.
Oh yeah, the police chief. What's her name?
It's
She's
Lily,
an amazing actress.
Something Lily, but she's part of like the John Cusack crew.
Yeah,
but she's
amazing.
awesome in that. And on top of that, Mackenzie Crook. The name doesn't sound familiar, but you would totally recognize the actor. He's like the weird techie CSI guy that they use a lot.
Yeah.
He is the wooden eye pirate from all the Pirates movies with the Caribbean.
Oh, he's in Game of Thrones.
And he was in Game of Thrones
Yes.
before. I think they just offed his character.
Yeah.
He is stealing scenes in this show.
No, I'm
He
so
is
pumped for that guy.
Awesome.
Because like we were
Evangeline Lilly.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I'm
I
excited
think it's
about
worth
it.
watching. The other show. Oh, I want to also do a shout out for a show called Black Church. Black Mirror. Black Mirror.
Mirror.
Haven't done Black Mirror
What
yet.
is Black Mirror?
It's a BBC show. It's like a Twilight Zone show.
Oh!
Ooh, I'm in.
Yeah.
That's
Gotta
all you have
watch
to-
it.
that's
So
all you have to say.
Premise
That's-
changes every episode.
That's literally this. Okay, this is something that I've been dealing with a lot lately. Is like every single fucking show is so goddamn serious with these huge giant arcs. What happened to the Monster of the Week show where you just like put it on and you watch it and they like fucking I've been really well like not even just Tales from the Crypt but like things like what is it? What stupid Next Gen, Star Trek Next Gen. You could just.
I'm actually not a fan of a Monster of the Week.
I am.
I am a fan. I am a fan of like. That's why I like didn't watch Buffy much because I was
Yeah.
like, oh okay, you're fighting a monster this week, and
Well, that's why I
you
love
will
Buffy.
defeat this
She's fighting a monster this
Yeah.
week.
and you will move on.
Yeah.
No, but I
Buffy.
liked Buffy when it got bigger arcs.
Well, that's. I mean, I like a little bit of both. Like, and the thing that I like about like Star Trek Next Generation that's so great is they have the Monster of the Week thing, but if a little thing happens in one episode, it'll trickle down in other episodes, and it'll be referenced again. So they
Totally.
do have a continuity. Like Geordie's beard. Like I've been watching season 6, and Geordie decides to get a beard.
On BBC.
I've been watching on Netflix.
Okay.
I got all the seasons on there, and like in one episode they're like, oh, so you're growing the beard, and then in another episode somebody else in the crew talks to him about his beard, and the fact that the actor just was like, I want to grow a beard, and then everyone in the show like revolves around his decision to do this and how they like bring it up is so
Yeah.
awesome.
I like a show that does both.
Yeah.
A show that can do Monster of the Week at the same time as forwarding a story.
Yeah.
It's very
See, I
difficult
thought-
to write that way.
See, I thought
Yeah.
Buffy did that though. Every
It
season.
did eventually. It did
Yeah,
eventually.
it took a while for them to
Yeah.
figure out their.
But I would think of a show like Babylon 5, even though it didn't have the greatest production values, it was all written by Straczynski.
Yeah.
And you could watch each show and enjoy that as a show. But if you watch them together, you get an overarching story. That's difficult to do, and
It is.
Straczynski's one of the few people who did that.
And one of the two shows that apparently I need to start watching, and I'm not, that are doing the Monster of the Week thing, but also with the overall arc. Apparently, Sleepy Hollow is getting great reviews. And
I don't know,
it's
my
all-
Are
mom
you going to
said it
say
sucked.
Blacklist?
What? I have been watching Blacklist. It's amazing.
Blacklist is amazing.
So good. Okay,
The
3
premise
shows.
of it is
Yeah.
it is the Monster of the Week, but that's the premise of the show.
Yeah.
He has a number of monsters he has to get through.
Yeah.
We don't for a specific reason, but we don't know why.
That's perfect.
Okay,
You
Blacklist
would
is
love
good.
it.
Perfect.
And then
And
also,
it's James Spader, right?
Yeah, James Spader. James
James
Spader
Spader.
could read like the side of a milk carton. You know what I mean? And it would be amazing.
I like James Spader.
Dude's amazing.
and then
I'm
the
down
other
with
one,
it.
apparently, I don't know if I'm going to get a lot of grief for this. Should I be watching Arrow? Because
I
Arrow,
get a lot of questions about Arrow.
Yeah, a lot of people ask about Arrow.
A lot of people.
Arrow's been telling me that, like, Slade just became Deathstroke, and they got Barry Allen in it. He just became Flash, and Merlin's totally in it, and John Barrowman from Torchwood's in it.
I'm just gonna burn through this.
Am I totally off course when I said, like, because when they first introduced it, it looked like a CW show.
Well, yeah,
and it looked like, I can't believe you slept with my sister the night before we were supposed to get married, but then you disappeared on an island, and I thought you were dead. Like, right there, you lose me.
Right.
Like, I'm fucking over it. But now apparently,
you had me in on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I should do that more often.
This is your delivery.
If you just did like 5-minute episodes of just me doing
No,
that
I think I'm gonna watch. I think I'm definitely gonna Netflix the show.
Yeah.
And burn through it, just because it seems like it gained like a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
Oh, really quickly
See,
too.
my problem with shows though, I'm having a problem with shows in general, television, because it's so much of a time commitment. It's like a movie. You sit down an hour and a half, 2 hours, you're done. You got everything, you're done. It's like a show. It's like you got to watch 5 seasons of 22 episodes, and you're just like, fuck, man. Like that.
No, but when you get
a
a good show, you pace it out like a fine wine. You don't drink the bottle all at once.
That's fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Fair enough. I know.
Whoops.
Yeah, Kirk's like, what?
One last question.
All right, final question.
Maybe the last question, unless we cut it. Kent McKnight asks about what do you think of the announcement of Venom movie and the Sinister Six movies that were announced yesterday?
Oh yeah, I just saw this too.
I don't know what's the deal.
Okay, Sony's definitely not letting go of
No,
Spider-Man.
they'll never let him go. Just like Fox will never let go of fucking X-Men.
They're gonna totally expand the universe, and they're gonna try to follow the Marvel.
That's what
cinematic
they're all
model.
doing. They're all doing that. Specifically, Fox people were just specifically saying.
Yeah, exactly. I was just
gonna
say, do you blame them?
But no. This is what I just give them back. Give them back to Marvel.
It's not
give
gonna
them
happen.
back.
Yeah. No one will ever. They will never let go of Superman.
But it's like
they're Sony's #1 most profitable franchise of all time.
Fuck Sony.
So it's never gonna happen.
Fuck Sony.
Stop it.
Fuck Fox.
Don't say that.
Fuck them both.
Oh, you're burning bridges.
Yeah.
Burning bridges. Burning bridges.
My favorite Walkman in the '90s was made by Sony. Okay. Yeah, they're doing a Sinister Six movie.
Okay, well,
they're gonna do a
I don't have
Venom
Here's the
movie.
thing. I don't have an opinion on any of it because I haven't seen the movie. I don't know if it'll be good. Who knows who they'll bring in? I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like to render opinions on something when a project is announced is so stupid to me. I mean, it's like. It's like, how can you have an opinion on something that...
Yeah.
It is stupid, but that's the number
But that's
one
what
view
people
on the
ask you.
internet.
That's the only thing.
But it's
people
like,
wanna talk about.
it's like the Superman movie. Like, everyone had such a big... It was like Ben Affleck, and I'm like, let's wait till the movie. Let's see what happens.
It's like the trailer thing where people
You're like the trailer thing? That's how I am about announcements of movies.
But that's how,
Like, here's what I just found out. Do you guys know this? Matt Damon and Ben Affleck bought the rights to Sleeper. My favorite comic book of all time. They're producing it.
Really?
And I can't think of a better person to play Sleeper than Matt Damon. To play Holden Caulfield. That was announced. To me, that was the big announcement.
The character's name is Holden Caulfield.
His name's... No, it's not Holden... It's Holden Carver.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Holden Carver. But obviously a mixture. But that's my favorite comic of all time. And if I could think of like 2 guys that could make that... I was just like... That to me was a great announcement.
Yeah.
Sinister Six, I mean...
Yeah.
We don't know what we're going to get. They could get some great guy from Yugoslavia to direct the movie.
Yeah.
Just like they got somebody great to do Dredd. Who ever heard of that director?
Yeah.
And he killed it.
And he killed it. He nailed it. And nobody thought that movie was going to be anything.
Yeah.
So Sinister Six could end up being like, you could be here 2 years from now going,
might be
man,
fantastic.
that Sinister Six movie was...
It might have been great. It might be great. It might
Here's
be
my
great.
thing. Yeah, but my thing with like the Venom movie. This brings up another question too. Like, how cool would it be if they did the Flash Thompson Agent Venom?
I think it would be great.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really cool, like, you do a quick 5-minute, here's the symbiote.
Espionage type vibe.
So cool.
Totally.
But the thing is, they're not.
I think
that's not what they're going to do. They're going to do.
The reason that you're critical to begin with is because you just haven't liked how
I just don't
Fox
like.
or Sony has handled any of the movies so far.
No,
and it's the
I
same
don't.
Team for
I don't have a lot of
everything
faith
they
in them.
Yeah.
But see, I'm a mix. To me, it's a mixed bag. I think I like the first 2 X-Men movies a lot.
Totally.
I like the ones that Bryan Singer did a lot. I loved X-Men First Class. It is one of my favorite.
It
is one of my
preaching to the
favorite
choir
comic book movies.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Fox, I don't think that they failed. I think that some of the movies haven't been as good as others, but they have made really good X-Men movies when they...
This is my deal with the
First Class was so good.
It was good.
You know why it was good?
Because it wasn't fucking Wolverine?
No, absolutely not, Danica.
Because it's about more than Wolverine for once?
No, because it's a movie where the plot doesn't stop. The character development and plot doesn't stop until the credits roll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so many of the superhero movies, it's just the last 30 minutes is blowing things up.
Yeah.
Like the Wolverine film where I'm sorry, you could tell they rewrote that third act.
Yeah.
Like,
I would love to see because to me the first 3/4 of that movie were like a great 70s movie, like Sidney Lumet would have made it. It was like Serpico. Do you know what I mean? It had that vibe to it. So no, I mean,
who didn't want to watch Wolverine just take out 50 ninjas? That would have been a great third act.
Well, it's just I just wish that they would consult me because I think I can help them. I think that I could help them. I could because I know you can make a good one. You know, I know you guys can do it. I know you guys would to do it.
But here's the problem with movies is you know, I was a theater major, and you know, I did a lot of plays. Mm-hmm. Everything, it's contingent on everything. Mm-hmm. It's contingent on the actors, the script being right, the director being right. There's so many things that can go wrong in a movie. It's amazing how many things go right.
Yeah. That's true. That's 100% true.
Have you heard of a thing called Sturgeon's Law? It's somebody came up with this principle where 90% of everything is crap, no matter what the genre is. So it's amazing to me that most of these comic book movies aren't worse than they are.
Yeah.
There have been some great comic book movies, and we're going to be heading into there will be there's already been one masterpiece in my mind, and that's The Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. To me, that superseded comic book movies and moved into a whole other realm.
I'm shaking my head, or I'm nodding a lot.
In other words,
yes.
Kicked it into high
we're
gear.
going to get to the day where there will be a comic book movie that wins the Best Picture.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
It is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because it's beyond a genre at this point. It's like making like noir movies in the 50s.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The comic book, they're going to be mining comic book movies. So somehow somebody's going to make a genius movie. Now, I think I've already seen some genius movies. I thought X-Men First Class was amazing. Mm-hmm. I really loved that movie. And Dark Knight was amazing.
Yeah.
And I was proud. I was proud to say.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And you know, and that wasn't.
Boy.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't. And again, and I felt the same way about the Man of Steel. Mm-hmm. And I'm just saying that's just me. But that's just me. Guys. That's just me, guys. I'm just saying the more they make, we're gonna get some masterpieces out.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you know, it's just
it's too bad.
I just want with the whole X-Men thing. It's like the first two movies, groundbreaking. You know, made people think about it in a whole new way. Made people legitimize the idea of a superhero movie.
Yeah.
But it's just I think it's baffling that they're deciding to, instead of go back to Matthew Vaughn or continue with something like that, they're going to go back to Singer and his vision. And it's like the X-Men are made to be reinterpreted. I want to see a new interpretation, you know?
But he is doing the new interpretation. I'm actually, and I've read a lot about that movie. And I believe he's going to come, because he was the producer of First Class. Mm-hmm. So he was there every day on set.
Good.
Okay, Matthew Vaughn is a great director. Bryan Singer's also a great director. He's made some really great movies. And from everything I've heard about this Days of Futures Past, I think it's going to be a great... He's basically going to take the two... I think it's an ingenious idea to take the two movie casts and sort of merge them like he's going to do. I think it's going to be unlike any X-Men movie we've ever seen on screen.
You know, Halle Berry is Storm. Ugh.
Yeah, I always thought it should have been. I always thought it should have been Angela Bassett. But see, I don't quibble about things like that. Wolverine is not 6'2".
And that bothers me too.
But I mean, me too. But it's like you gotta let go of certain things.
No,
you know what I mean?
No.
Yes, you do.
They need to give it to me to make it right. Okay, I will make it right.
To me, that's not what...
It will be good for fans and for people who have no idea about anything. Everyone.
My only complaint with Cyclops is they never developed Cyclops at all.
They made him super lame. He was wearing a fucking turtleneck and a cardigan, for Christ's sake.
Okay, he did that all the time in the comics.
I don't care. You're way off. It did not work in the real life.
Yes, the turtleneck exists.
But that was the 70s.
But
turtlenecks were...
let's look what happened at the third X-Men movie. Bryan Singer was lured away to do Superman. He still wanted to do the third X-Men movie, which was going to be the Dark Phoenix storyline. And they were so upset with him for doing the Superman thing.
Yeah, that they
they fired
killed
him off, and he also hired James Marsden, and that's why they killed off Cyclops in the movie. So that's why the third movie was the way it was.
Hey, that's
because of what happened.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Is Marsden at all in Days of Future Past?
Yeah.
He might be.
You never know.
Is not Charles Xavier dead?
Are we going to continue to have X-Men stories without fucking Cyclops? I mean, is everyone okay with that? Am I crazy?
Did not Charles Xavier die in the third X-Men movie?
Well, no, if you stick around for the credits, then you know. That was weird.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying that the only bummer I had was that we didn't get a great Dark Phoenix story.
Yeah. No, we got.
But we're getting the second. We're getting the second best X-Men story, which is Days of Futures Past.
Yeah.
Which is equally as good as the Dark Phoenix storyline. Mm-hmm. And I mark my words, just as I said with Inhumanity, I believe that this Days of Futures Past movie is going to be awesome.
I want it to. I really want it to.
Yeah.
I'm just.
There needs to be.
I need it to be.
I know you do.
We're past fucking around. It's time to get to business and start making some real goddamn X-Men movies. You know.
But they did make some real X-Men movies.
Yeah,
Not fucking around here, people.
You know, it's just.
All right. Are we done?
Yeah, we need to wrap it up.
Oh, okay.
We're getting to 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don Cheadle's coming back in Avengers 2 as War Machine. All right, we're done.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Woo!
All right. Do your promos for the rest.
All right. Well, all right. So for everyone out there, we got a bunch of upcoming episodes. We're going to be doing a big Catching Fire Epic History Repeats Itself review. We're really excited about that. We're also going to be doing a whole big episode on all the movies that we've watched this year. Although I still got to watch a few more movies before we can talk about everything.
Yeah, 12 Years a Slave is one of them.
I know. We're going to go see it tonight, maybe. Hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. What other episodes, T-Bone? Anything else?
The X-Men.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. We've been working on it so much that I forget about it. Yeah. We have a big Battle of the Atom review that's coming out as well.
Woohoo!
So we're looking forward to that. Kirk makes an appearance along with Amy Dallin. So we had a lot of fun filming that.
That was a lot of fun.
And I'd also like to give a big shout out to DC Comics for having me on their All Access show. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for letting me review some of your comics.
Yay.
And also, we don't forget, we have the hidden 13th episode PLOPCAST. It is hidden on the YouTubes. Not that hidden, but it's there. So just be sure to check it out. It's about occult in comics and just occult weirdness in general. So
I will find you.
Really proud of it. Please, if you do feel the need to go search it out, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Really proud of that.
It's interesting.
And also, everybody, don't forget to get your comic books and graphic novels at Earth 2 Comics, Sherman Oaks, and Northridge, the premier comic book store. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
And thank your guests.
And I'd like to thank Captain Kirk and D-Dog Darren for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Give yourselves a round of applause. Over and out.
All right. That was good.